Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this Wonder Egg Priority Season 1, which is the only season, I suppose, discussion with me and Kyle Entertainment. I guess I technically, just to give some quick background, I watched the show once, and then I watched it again, and Kyle has watched it for the first time. So I guess we're both here to talk about it. We've never talked about it to each other before, and here we are. But say something, Kyle.
We've never mentioned a word about this show to each other, EliteAri. Now,
That is
you
true.
also you've watched it for the first time very recently. This isn't an old show that you're rewatching like we have done in the past with, say, Madoka Magica, right?
True, yeah. So I watched it, I think, maybe 2 weeks ago or something, I think. And I'm watching it again now for the second time. But, yep.
Now, EliteAri does this thing, or at least he did it with Heavenly Delusion, where he rewatches a show very quickly after he watched it. It's a
Mm-hmm.
little weird. We don't like that behavior, but he does it sometimes. So my inference here is that he really liked Wonder Egg Priority, though he hasn't talked about it very specifically, especially once I agreed to do this with him, because he had to convince me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so should I speculate on what you think before you speculate on what I think?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, yeah.
Or do you have more of an intro to do? The So EliteAri watched this, and then apparently there's some discourse about the show. Apparently EliteAri read some Reddit comments and got mad.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I remember him saying that, like, oh, the coolest decision in the whole show, people are chalking up to like budget issues or something, and it's like really annoying. Which is a very EliteAri thing to be annoyed at. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and in recalling that, I do remember I had heard of this show before. It's not one EliteAri couldn't ever think of a show that I haven't heard of. I'm an anime connoisseur over here, even
Mm-hmm.
if I don't watch shitty anime a lot. But I remember when this show first came out, 2021. That's a fucking long time ago, EliteAri, even though you might not think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I do vaguely remember hearing about the controversy about it. I feel like I remember a Mother's Basement video or something, and a thumbnail and a title about how the show fell off and how that's sort of the narrative surrounding the show or something like that. I know when we brought this up on either of our streams, I believe Heath and somebody else both said that, yeah, I watched the first bit, but then I heard it fell off, so I stopped watching or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the vague things I know about the show. In my brain, it used to like occupy the same space as like Odd Taxi and Sunny Boy and like Bocchi the Rock, of like weird abstract shows that people tell me I would like, or used to tell me I would like when I was popularly airing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I never actually watched because I don't want to watch no fucking anime, especially no new anime. That's lame, EliteAri.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I knew coming in. And then EliteAri added that extra layer. And then I don't know why I decided to watch it. Maybe I just looked it up on Crunchyroll and the thumbnail looked nice for the first
Mm-hmm.
episode or something. How am I supposed to know these things? But here we are to speak about it. So my guess is EliteAri really likes this show. 9 or a 10 or a 4 or a 5 is EliteAri would say, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wanted me to rewatch it with him so I could be on his side, and we can attack the haters, EliteAri. That being said, on Mal, I did see that the first season, the first 12 episodes have a 7.5 or a 7.56 or something, which is pretty low for Mal standards for a popular show.
Mm-hmm.
And then the episode 13 has like a 5, which is absolutely abysmal in Mal. So
Yeah.
the people hated that one.
Mm-hmm.
So
Half
that's
recap.
interesting. Yes, it is half recap. That was annoying, and I did skip through most of it after I got to like the 10-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a recap episode that you told me to skip, EliteAri, but I watched
Yeah.
like the first 5 minutes.
Yep.
So EliteAri, I don't know. I guess do you want to explain what you think and then speculate on what I think? That might be better.
You know
I
what?
don't know.
Yeah. Just yeah, because people are listening and they're like, "What is going on right now?" I'll just say what I think, and then I'll speculate on you, and then you can tell me what you think. So, Wonder Egg Priority. I definitely do like this show a lot. I guess right now I could just give a brief thing to just say, you know what? I'll go over my overall thoughts, okay? And then you can give yours
Mm-hmm.
later. So I do like it a lot. It's not perfect, that's for sure. Like, it's no Licorice Recoil. I like Licorice Recoil more than this, which is another recent anime I watched. Very different to this, but just compared because they're pretty recent. I think it's like it has some great moments that I feel like are like 90% of the way to being really like perfect, but it doesn't quite land for like a few of these moments, which is a bit of an issue. I think it's can be quite confusing, especially on the first watch. Second watch, I got a lot more, and it makes a lot more sense. And things are like out of order chronologically sometimes, and it's like hard to follow. But like when you do understand a lot of it, I think it comes together and it feels really good. It's very disappointing that it doesn't have a satisfying ending. Like, it feels like this, you could definitely do another season to this. So it's like, I enjoy the season that I got, and I feel like it stands on its own, but it doesn't stand as a complete product to me, which is a bit disappointing. Visually, it's great. directing great, music's great, stuff like that, all good. But yeah, and I guess one more overall thought, which is that I think the show does a lot of, it blends symbolism with sci-fi, and I think whenever it does that, it gets a little bit too confusing, and it's like I feel like the symbolism doesn't land, and I think the sci-fi does kind of land, but it's like the mix-up is a bit confusing. We'll talk about it more, but that's what I generally think.
Okay, before you go on to the next part,
Yeah.
It's interesting because I thought the controversy was going to be that everybody doesn't like that it doesn't really have an ending, and
I
you
can
were
tell
going to
the
like that part.
controversy. No,
And the
okay.
fact that, well, shut up, Alita. We're going to get
Okay.
to that in about 30 seconds.
Mm.
So it's very interesting that that's not the split here.
Yep.
Because I thought you were going to maybe like that the ending was a more abstract / weird / open-ended. So that was my speculation going in, is that's why most people must not like it. And that would be so I guess you're going to explain what the divergence is. This is interesting.
Yeah, so to clarify, I do think if you just treat this as like season one of a story, or like something that's like almost done but is missing like maybe 1 or 2 more episodes, I think it's really, really good. I just don't think it like wraps up and has like a neat ending to it, which is fine. Like that doesn't take away from it much at all. Like I love Attack on Titan season 1, for instance. Like it doesn't mean that it's bad because it didn't have more seasons after. But yeah, anyway, so that's what I think.
I think people would think it would be like that's like Dead Man Wonderland is like an old show like that where it's like a great season 1. High School of the Dead is kind of like that too.
Promised
But people
Neverland.
basically tell everybody, huh?
Promised Neverland.
Well, not even that, because they never had a second season. So people just tell you not to watch those shows because you're never going to get the ending, and it's like, don't even bother. I know a lot of people say that about Berserk now too, obviously. And Nana, which is a long-running manga. Did that guy die? I don't know. But it's not finishing. So yeah, I can definitely see. I don't know. You would have to have confirmation that there wasn't going to be a season 2 for that to be the reason why everybody was mad, I guess. But
Yeah,
EliteAri is
sure.
going to tell. I'm just speculating, EliteAri.
Yeah, so okay. Well, I want to hear your thoughts before we talk about why people are mad, I guess. So just predicting.
I kind of want to hear what. Yeah, because that is my only prediction. Well, no, I guess should I just do it then, EliteAri?
I don't know. What do you want me to talk about? Wait, I was gonna say, what do you think about it first?
All right, we're restructuring on the fly,
Okay, go ahead,
so we can either do, you explain the controversy, then you predict what I think, then I tell you what I think, or you can predict what I think, I can tell you what I think, and then we can get to the controversy part.
Right, I'm just gonna say the controversy now because it's actually not that big of a deal and it's not very confusing or anything. So the controversy surrounding this show is that, and again, I could have read more into this. I haven't read too much into it. Okay. But there was a lot of, as far as I understand, this was a messy production. Now, I don't know where the evidence for this comes from. I haven't looked into it, so I that could be completely wrong, but people believe this with all their heart and soul. And the first sign of that, I think, like to the most like popular audience, was the episode 8 recap, where it's like, I think the narrative surrounding this is that there was intent, they were fully intending to release an episode on that day, but because they didn't meet the deadline, that they had to push it back, basically. I think that's like the narrative that goes around. And then after that, there's like a lot of other narratives about how the production was falling apart and all the concepts they planned to like talk about, like they planned to address in the show, they weren't able to address. And basically the ending is so confusing because they didn't really know where they were going to end, and it was all a complete mess. And they were fully intending to have it all wrapped up, but they couldn't because of their production was a mess and the studio was overworking them, and there was no, like, the plan was terrible, and like there was unfinished storyboards at the end. And there's basically this whole narrative around how the production completely fell apart on both the writing level, and just like the production actual like animation level, where they had to bring in all these crazy extra animators, and like they had to pull from Twitter, and it's like all those things you hear about like more recent stuff like Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen. It's all present here as well, where it's like people are very confident that there was like big production issues with this, and they attribute all the things that they don't like in the writing of this, like toward the end of this, to those production decisions. And that frustrates me because I think I do think watching this, to me it does feel like that everything that is in this feels intentional, and it feels like I could definitely like piece together stuff from this, and I could see where you could go from this in the future. It doesn't feel like, oh, they like just had to rush something and they added something that doesn't make sense. Like I can make sense of all the decisions that are in here. So it's like they just attribute it to be like, oh, they had no idea where they're going. It just frustrates me. But that's basically the controversy as far as I understand it.
So EliteAri is mad because nobody has any idea what they're talking
Instead
about.
of battling or combating with the decisions in the show, they attribute it to bad like production issues, and they don't bother like going, "Oh, what could be an interesting reading of this?" or like, "What's going on here?" And that frustrates me. And of course, this is exacerbated because it is on a sensitive topic such as trauma and gender and stuff like that. So it's like you hear all the worst, like, "Oh, they're like disrespecting the people because like all the decisions they made were like evil and immoral," and it's like all that stuff is involved in this, and it just frustrates me.
Okay,
But
that's interesting.
yeah. Anyway.
There was part of me that thought maybe the controversy was like that people thought it was really sexist because they say very descriptive or prescriptive things about women a lot, which I thought was kind of funny. But I didn't think that the internet would be smart enough to be mad about that stuff, so I didn't end up thinking that. Well, EliteAri, all I can say is that's a very boring drama. Because I was watching all these episodes and I was like, oh, it's coming. There's going to be an episode where like it's just like a still frame of somebody speaking or something for 20 minutes, and it never happened. I got to the
I had
last
that same
episode,
experience.
this painter guy he's painting everywhere, and it looks very fluid and stuff. And I was like, well, yikes! I guess this isn't happening. You know, I was like, it can't just be because there's a recap episode, which maybe it is.
It is
so
crazy.
You knew that before going in. Is that what you're saying?
I knew that there were. I basically before this, I knew that yes, there's a production meltdown. I knew they like missed an episode delivery or something. Like I had heard that before, and I was constantly waiting. I'm like, okay, there's gonna be an episode. The animation's gonna be bad. It's gonna be like clearly like they're doing like reused anime. It just never happened, and I was like, what is going on here? Like, why is everyone upset about this? But I guess the week to week experience was probably like a bunch of people speculating on. This is another thing which Bacon brought up in our Serial Experiments Lane, which is like if you go through the Reddit threads, people have elaborate theories about like insane things that they like really focused on, and then obviously none of that came true, and they blame that all to like the production fell apart instead of like they just went a different direction with the story, and it's like a whole I don't know, but yeah, that's my rant about that.
It is interesting. I would like to read like the Mal reviews, especially for like the 13th episode.
Yeah, true.
Well, EliteAri, now you got to speculate on what I think. You know, am I just gonna flip you off right now? You know, what words will I use to describe this show? Will one start with a G?
The thing is, this show, there's so much to say about it. So I feel like at the least, I think you have to be positive about it. Because there's just like so much to. There's a lot going on. Now the thing is, the stuff that's going on, you might find it pretty like generic. Is like unironically, you might find the stuff going on generic. I just find it generic and interesting. So I feel like if you were to give it, if I'm predicting your rating, I feel like you'd say, oh, it does some interesting things, but most of the time it's like generic. That would be my guess of what you think about it. Obviously I completely disagree with that, but yeah, that would be my guess. But
could have been a different G word, you know. It could have been good.
I guess, yeah. But yeah, what is it? What are your thoughts?
It's very funny, EliteAri. This is obviously EliteAri. Tremendously. Dun, 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 dun. That's your heartbeat right now, EliteAri. The least generic show I've ever seen in my life, EliteAri. This show was a great 9 or 10 out of 10.
Oh my goodness.
Until the ending was a little weird. It's actually a little before that. It was what's the episode before the backstory episode? Oh, at the end of the okay, EliteAri. This is the greatest show of all time. We got these great characters. They're not that great of characters. They're pretty great characters, actually. They're not like the most unique archetypes you've ever seen. You know, you've seen a little angry girl. She's a little over here, a little mean girl. You got a little not very emotional girl. You got a very emotional girl. But the character interactions and the dialogue in this show, EliteAri, are literally some of the best I've definitely ever seen in anime or manga, and maybe even just in general. This was tremendous, EliteAri, and this was immediately evident. I was loving this show from the very beginning, and I was fucking with you. I can't remember how I was doing it, but I was implying that I wasn't or something like that.
Well, you said it was bad.
The fact that I watched, huh?
You said it was bad, and I was like, oh, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch the whole thing.
Oh yeah, EliteAri got really mad because I was joking about it being bad, and then he said, "Well, just don't watch it then."
Exactly.
EliteAri was having a bad day or something, but I was fucking with him. I was already loving it. I was going into another joke, EliteAri. You derailed me with your bad one.
You're welcome.
I liked it from the very beginning, EliteAri. Fuck. I was on a flow there. It really is. How many minutes in are we, EliteAri?
It's like 14 minutes roughly.
You know what I always say about Mad Men, EliteAri, how did it only take this long? Is that my favorite thing is like, and we bring up the Black Sails example with the dude yelling outside and Eleanor and Horny Gold are inside, where a character will say something like unique, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I hate when characters just say boring fucking shit. That happened like every scene in this show, where like the girls would be hanging out and they would just all say interesting, great shit. It would just be like, oh, I didn't expect that dialogue piece. So I was engaged like constantly, and I thought it was great. to me, the core appeal of the show was the slice of life elements, and I
I do
liked
kind of agree.
obviously whenever an action scene. What are you saying?
I do kind of agree with that. That was some of the best stuff in this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then the action stuff would start, and I would always have the stupid fight scene. But it would always like play back into it, and then like by episode 3 or 4, it's the one where all right, EliteAri, let's get the names
Good
right.
luck,
So we got
yeah.
the sun, the yellow one, you know,
True.
Oh, I'm a genius, EliteAri. And then we got Rika, that's the pink one.
Mhm.
She's got a strand of pink, EliteAri.
Yep.
I was like, oh, these shitty fights, they're all by themselves. Oh, they got to fight together, EliteAri. This is the greatest episode of all time. And they've even got the ideas in this show, EliteAri. You got to love it. The monsters are cool. I got to the end of episode 1, EliteAri. I'm spoiling my notes here, and I say, oh no, episodic trash, question mark. Because I was loving the show, and then I realized, oh, every episode is another dream, and then we're just another monster we're going to fight. That sucks. Terrible. And I was hesitant. And then I was like completely relieved because when the first girl disappeared, because I'm gearing up, I'm liking this first girl character. I don't even remember her name because she's only in that one episode. And I'm like, oh, this is like the main girl for the rest of this. This is her main friend. This is going to be great. And she disappeared. And then I realized, not only are we going to get a cool monster every episode, we're going to get a cool girl to save every episode.
Sure.
And they kept having cool girls to save. And I was like, oh, each girl's unique. Each girl's like a slightly different take on suicide. Like even in the one where they're both fighting, it's a 2v1. They've got the two like fangirls or whatever. They were funny and cute.
That is true.
So yeah, I absolutely was like, this is like the greatest fucking shit I ever saw. I was loving this show. It was visually good. I even have the music was good, bro, and I never noticed music, EliteAri. There's that old sounding song that plays through like a radio speaker when they're in the dream.
True.
There's that main theme at the beginning of the first episode that plays a bunch. That one's pretty cool. It was all really good. I do have another note in my little introduction thing here where I said, I feel like the show is a 9 or a 10. But then I asked myself, is it better than Modica? And I was like, oh, but I gave Modica like an 8, I'm pretty sure. And then I was like, And then I started thinking, because the show truly isn't dramatic until the end of episode 10. When the fucking first animal, they got the great cute animals, EliteAri. They all got a little Pokemon with them. And then one of them died, EliteAri. And it was weird.
It was crazy.
And I was like, I was like reveling in the show not being very dramatic. And there was a fear with me the whole time that it was going to be I was scared of like it getting too dramatic, which it kind of did at the end. And my main point of like speculated scaredness was with the two dudes, EliteAri. What are their names?
Ura-Acca and Ura-Acca.
Ura-Acca, you know, Ura-Acca from My Hero Academia, my favorite girl. And I was like, oh, are these two just going to be Cube? And then they're there, and then there's like the reveal that they're talking to the secretary or whatever, and I'm like, oh no. Because everything wasn't going in like, I constantly had fears throughout the show where I was like, oh, here we go, this is where we're going with this. And it was like some generic line that we were going down. And they never did it, EliteAri. They were swerving and dodging. And they did kind of swerve and dodge it. Those two guys aren't evil. We aren't fighting them at the end. It's pretty good. We're not fighting anybody at the end, EliteAri. Shitty show. Fell off. Now, and then but the few beats, I guess I did dislike those. Well, not dislike, but liked them less. Where it's the big dramatic episodes and the backstory episode. Even like, because the last episode isn't that a lot. It sort of pivots into like an internal story with
Yes.
Which I guess wasn't really my favorite either. Like, I don't know if the thematic stuff resonated with me too much. It really was like the character interaction and them being friends. And all the dialogue and the situations. It really was like, I watched like 2 episodes of K-On! Like last month or whenever I did that. And that show is like is kind of what I'm looking for here, where it's like, it's about like girls in high school in a band. So there's not going to be any fights or any like big dramatic moments of we got to save the world or our friends killed themselves or whatever. But like this show is so much better than that. Now I've only seen like 2 episodes of that. In like the character interactions, and that show was pretty good. Like they're cute and they're interacting, but this was just on like a completely different level. Even to other things, like what else? Like I did think of Modica a lot.
They're pretty similar
because there is like the sci-fi, and then the we're fighting a weird monster every episode, and it's sort of a similar scenario, and it feels like a different world, and everybody on the outside doesn't know about the world.
And dreams and stuff.
Yeah, it's stuff like that. I think I don't know. because I only watched all those episodes I didn't like today, 2 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I haven't processed it fully. On Mal, I did give it a 9, and then I gave the
Nice.
13th episode an 8. But that's only because of the recap. Like, the 13th episode gets into some things, and it's not as dramatic, nearly. I didn't really care about the, I don't know, the split timeline stuff. That's, I don't really care about this element. But, when they watch the dream or whatever, and it is just I and Rika or whatever interacting, and then they go outside, that stuff's all, great. I think another strong point was out of the 4 characters, I really liked all of them. I really liked whenever any of them were on screen, and I really didn't have a ranking.
Interesting. That was gonna be one of my questions. Yeah.
So the fact that I liked them all equally, and I was very excited whenever they showed up, I could probably rank them. I think was another very strong aspect. I don't know. I thought the show was very good, EliteAri. I might like it more than you. You're a little pussy.
Yeah, probably, maybe. I guess just to say, well, you kept bringing up that it kind of toward the end it got a bit different. I do think that's what I was trying to say a little bit about it turned a lot more sci-fi toward the end. Which is not necessarily the divergence you're talking about, because you were talking about how it focused less on the character interactions and stuff. But I do feel the identity changed a little bit, especially with that flashback episode, which for reference, I do like that a lot. That's probably I don't know if it's my favorite episode, but I really, really did like that flashback episode with the girl.
Just because there was a dumb AI girl.
Well, yeah, not really, no. I think it's mainly because of the, how interesting it is. That's purely it. How they do they cage her away, which is an evil, it's just so it's brutal. The fact that the daughter just dies, and it's you don't find out why, but you can theorize why, and it kind of feeds into the show overall, and how there's the scary scene where she pops her mouth, and it's freaky. It's oh my goodness, the girl, the daughter
cool.
just popped her mouth. It's what does this mean? It's did she get replaced or something? It's
because
crazy.
Her mind was taken over. She was hacked.
Maybe, but I think we'll talk about that because I have a theory about that. Yeah, so I there was stuff I liked when it changed. It was just very different. But yeah, I feel I had a million things to say from what you said. But
I assumed, I assumed that people would have wanted more of that, and that could have been another reason why they didn't like the show as much. Was oh, we want to get the answers or whatever. I don't give a fuck about any of these answers.
Well, just to say, we can.
That's not that's
yeah.
That's dramatic into just to preface what I did like about the show. I'm not completely uninterested. It's just not at all the appeal of the show to me.
Yeah, I guess to say that there was only one answer I was looking for, and we did get it, which was what happened to Koito. That was the main thing where I'm oh, I'm really invested in this, and what's going on with Mr. Sawaki and all that. And I did get an answer for that. But I do see when you look it up, people were...
So what was the answer again?
Wait, just to say, when you do look it up, I think people were they were disappointed that they didn't get the answers they wanted. I think that's the general impression too.
I mean, yeah, that would have to be it,
yeah. Yeah. Well, my understand. Oh God, should we talk about it now? We're still talking about random stuff here. But I feel I had so much more to say about stuff you said. Who knows?
Should have written it down.
Yeah, I should have. Yeah, it's all gone.
I have one thing written down that you said that I got to comment on.
Okay, wait. Actually, I just remembered just so I don't forget eventually. My ranking of the characters for reference. I is my favorite. Okay, Rika is my second favorite. And then Neiru, and then Momoe is probably last, but that's how I like them. Do you know who these characters are, by the way? These names? I don't know if you know.
Yes, I know who all of them are, you idiot.
Well done.
Just flip 1 and 2, and that's probably my ranking, I think.
Okay, there's a lot to like about Rika. She would be very close second, but yeah.
She's mean sometimes, so she's the coolest one.
Yep. All right, you said you had a note on something I said.
Oh, well, I said I don't think it was very confusing, because you said it was confusing a lot.
That's
but we did jump in time a lot.
We jumped in time, and also toward the end, it's Neiru's an AI who's a clone of her sister, and her sister's the original. And
well, that's only at the very end of the last one, and they just say it. So I'm oh, okay.
I don't know. That's a bit confusing. And there's the whole the time thing is really confusing with the Mr. Sawaki stuff. And also just for context, to save everyone listening, I watched the dub, Kai watched the sub, so there probably are subtle differences. In how things. But I did constantly switch between sub and dub in my second watch to kind of make sure I was trying to see were there actual differences, and I have some comments on that we'll talk about. But
I am very glad that I watched in the sub, because I feel especially some of these lines, I definitely would have hated this show if it was dubbed. I can just tell. So.
I am very. You should. I would be curious.
I did listen to the. There was an interesting thing. Well, they're just very earnest and overdramatic, and there's no way I think I would like it. The only dubs I like are the sad, broody ones. I did watch, because we did have a discussion right as I started, because I've constantly had this thing where I'm I should watch a modern anime dub sometime. so I can have more of an opinion on it. It would be interesting. And so when I was starting this show, I did speculate with EliteAri whether or not I should do it, and I did. I think the first 30 or 40 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
No, because those are silent. But the 40 or 30 seconds after that, EliteAri,
Mm-hmm.
I did watch in the dub, and then I think I did watch the sub first. Actually, then I switched to the dub to see.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny because the thing I usually say is that dubs are like over dramatic. The dub was definitely much more monotone than the sub at the beginning.
Yeah, I would.
But I
not...
liked the over dramatic
Yeah.
sub stuff. So I was like, no, I'll just do the sub.
Yeah, I don't. My this is a very different dub to anyone I've ever seen before. It's very underplay, or very like, there is no over. I mean, there is maybe some over dramatic stuff, but it doesn't feel like that at all. Like, it doesn't sound like My Hero Academia or something like that. It's very different.
What a dub! Yeah,
I love the My Hero dub. Yeah, but like, Ai is a very like quiet, reserved girl. They're all like they're very different. I don't know. It's not like a typical dub where they're overacting and stuff. But yeah, I like this dub quite a bit. But if we're commenting on the dub now at this point, the main difference, I think the performances, now that I've swapped between them, I think they're like good enough, like they're close enough. There is some like subtle differences, but that doesn't really bother me. The main thing that's different is the sound, like how they modulate the voices or something. And I have like two examples. One is that in episode 1, there's a time where in the sub, you have Ura-Acca and Ura-Acca, and they're like talking to Ai, like magically or whatever. And in the sub, you hear the voices and they're like bouncing between like your left ear and right ear or whatever. But whereas in the dub, it's just like a straight like voice you're hearing in your head. It's like small changes like that. And there's like an episode later where Ai is like yelling into a hallway, and then she like waits a bit. And in the dub, it's like, what is she waiting for? Like, what's happening here? But in the sub, it's like echoing the voice, and it's like, oh, she's like waiting to hear her echo or something. So it's like small things like that are missing from the dub that I think are the main reason that the sub would be better. But the performances themselves, I think, are close enough, and the dialogue seem to match in every case. Where I was like, oh, is this like ambiguous? Like maybe the sub was better. I go check it; it's the exact same in the sub. But I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess they did a good job translating it at least. But
we like dialogue changes, EliteAri. That's not the problem with dubs. You know, we love when they add the swear words.
True.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Now, I said something about confusing, and then you sounded like you wanted to say something.
Confused. Oh, God, I have no idea. What was confusing?
Because I said it wasn't confusing.
I think I just said, like, the final episode stuff's confusing. Oh, I was going to say, they do this thing, and I don't think I realized this the first time through, but it's a scene where, in episode 12, like the one before the final episode, there's a convo that Neiru has with Ai, and they're, like, sitting on this table, like, somewhere outside, and they're talking about Koito as a friend, and Neiru's like, oh, like, are you still okay with like do you still like Koito even if the friendship was fake or whatever? And at that point we're like, what do you mean? Like, why is the friendship fake? And you're like, and you don't really understand, at least I didn't when I was listening. I'm like, I don't understand what they're saying here. And the reason I didn't understand is because you don't actually find out what she said until the next episode, where it's revealed, like you get the reveal about Koito, the truth behind her suicide. And then you realize that, okay, so in the scene where Mr. Sawaki was taking Ai to the art gallery, he actually did tell her at that moment what happened with Koito. We're only going to find out like 3 or 4 episodes later. So it's like a bit confusing thing, like, oh, this scene here in episode 12.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, like I'm trying to understand what they're saying, but I have no idea. And it's like an important character thing. It's at the end of the second last episode where, before the special one or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to understand like what's going on here with Koito and Ai and everything. You can't piece it together until you've seen the next one. It's like stuff like that happens quite a lot in the show, and it's confusing. That's what I would say. But you can understand it on it. It's like all there. It's not like the production fell apart or anything. Like, you can understand it. It's just confusing.
My interpretation of that line was just like, even if like you find out that like that relationship isn't continuing on, do you still value it for like helping you back then or something? Because what I took from that scene, and I thought that made sense, and I just moved on.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can interpret it that way.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
Back in the day, you know, the day of 2 hours ago.
Absolutely.
I have one more thing about the sub and dub and the voices, which is obviously inherent like benefit of the dub, is that, so is the bug the Ura-Acca guy or whatever his name is, the Acca guy?
Oh god, the bug is Acca, but it might be both.
Yes, because the voice sounded kind of the same, but I was like, in the dub, I would definitely know if we're supposed to be confirming this right now.
Yeah.
Because the other one talks to him. It might be at the end of the last episode or the second last episode. He like flicks the water or whatever, and then the bug's there and is talking to him. I'm like, is this like the bug is like their boss or something, and is a new character that guided her at the very beginning of the first episode? But no, I inferred that it was the other guy.
Well done. Yep.
So I'm a genius. I don't need no dubs.
The bug, for reference, the bug is the dad. So Acca is the dad person. So yeah.
Yes. Not Ai's dad. We never met that fella.
True, but the AI's dad. kind of. Oh yeah. Okay. So what do we talk about now? So there's, I guess, just to get this out of the
Well,
way.
I guess.
Yeah, unless you have something.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I'm just gonna say, like, I feel like I can't really talk about the stuff I liked because it would just be recanting scenes that I don't remember off the top of my head, which is probably gonna make it difficult. This is kind of what we ran into in the lane discussion. When, like, it's not really the ideas that I care too much about. It's kind of the beat by beat stuff that I don't know. And it would also, like, I sort of ran into this with making videos, with the House of the Dragon video specifically, where it was like me just recanting the scene to a point where it's like to me, to as my evidence for why everybody should, like, love this show, I would just, like, play them a scene and be like, you see that part? And then she interrupted and that was cute. And then she said something interesting over here. And then they, like, did a little cute thing where they all said something in unison. And then Rika was being mad and said, I need some money. And then this other one said, bitch, get your own money. And then I said, don't do that. That's mean. And it was great. So I'm interested to see the legs of this discussion. What the hell are we going to talk about?
Yeah, so I think there are interesting ideas, and I guess some of the character interaction stuff I have notes on, so maybe there will be, like, scenes you will recall when I bring them up. But to get this out of the way, because there's a lot of explicit symbolism that I just wanted to bring up because it's, like, in your face, and I don't really, like, care for it that much, but it is there. So I just have a list of, like, random things. So number one is breaking the egg. So clearly when you go there, you go to this egg realm or whatever, you break an egg, and I'm sure this means something. I don't know what it means, but it is, like, clearly symbolic of something, right? You have...
Well, it's like emerging, evolving, being birthed, you know?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it should... I don't know. Like, I feel like if someone actually cared about the themes in this, you could probably tie something together, but I just...
You got to crack the egg of life, Elite, or even when you're feeling depressed, you know, you just one egg crack away, and then you can have a whole new experience with a new girl.
Yeah.
So get out there, EliteAri.
The cracking visual is, like, pretty important, because it's in the opening as well. It's the final shot that I see every time when I press skip. What did you think of the opening, actually?
Why aren't you watching it?
Because I watched it I watched it the first time like 3 times or something, and that was enough. But
no, I don't believe you. Yeah. You gotta watch it every time, and you gotta watch the ED every time, EliteAri.
Did you like the opening? It's very different. It's got, like,
it was pretty
weird
cool.
Like footage and stuff, and it's kind
live
of
action insert shots, and we had an egg, and it goes like dun dun at the beginning, and it's cute, and then there's 4 eggs.
Yep.
That's 4 characters, EliteAri. There's 4 girls. Did you know that?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
It reminded me of one of the Mushoku Tensei opening songs. I think there's only one. Maybe it was an ED. I don't remember.
We'll never know for sure, but leave a comment down below if you remember. Anyway, let's just get through all these symbols, okay? Seen or evils and bystanders are the same thing. The most obvious thing in the world, you know? Seen or evils, the people who are like, oh, someone's getting bullied, but, you know, I don't see it. I'm not gonna, like, pay attention to it. Like, I'm just gonna pretend I don't see it. Stuff like that. It's like, okay.
See No Evils is also like a horror movie reference or something, I think, to a Stephen King thing, maybe?
I have no idea, but maybe.
I know there's the wrestler Kane, EliteAri. Your favorite wrestler was in a movie once called See No Evil, and that was a horror movie.
That does sound somewhat familiar, actually. But yeah, the idea is that
it's
these
definitely
are like
from something.
Yeah, but it's also a phrase of like do no evil, see no evil, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they evolve into haters eventually. And it's like, oh, look at this. We're doing more symbol extension stuff about how, like, the people who don't look, they eventually become haters because they're, I don't know. It's like a whole thing. I don't know. None of it really stands out to me as like, oh, this is amazing, but it's all there. And it's all very explicit, which is not something I see that often.
You're a hater, EliteAri. You ever think about that?
Yeah, true. There's the Wonder Killer. Like, wonder obviously means something. And there's like a scene it's in the actual show where they go Wonder Egg Priority and they like say the thing out loud. And I'm like, I don't know if this works, but it's like kind of cool. And I don't know what the word wonder means.
Because the Wonder Egg Priority is that you have to prioritize protecting people or something. But also, wonder is like the wonder of life, EliteAri. And these evil monsters be raping and taking away the wonder of the young ladies because they're all 14 and it's about growing up and dealing with the real world. And something like that. That was my interpretation, EliteAri.
That makes sense. I like that.
The 3 wise monkeys, EliteAri, of Chinese folklore. See no evil, do no evil, speak no evil, EliteAri. This is where we're referencing.
Did you Google that?
Yeah, you know, I put in See No Evil, and then the Kane movie came up, and then the next one was See No Evil, Speak No Evil, which was a different movie, but then it also came up with the 3 wise monkeys, which I learned about in a YouTube video one time, so.
Makes sense. Okay, there's a few more. When you're in this egg world, you're immortal, as long as your eyes and your heart are okay, because it's like, oh, what you look at and like what you pay attention to, what you care about is like important or something. You have the when they buy an egg, the first one is free, but then nothing costs more than a free gift or something and stuff like that.
Because it gets you hooked, EliteAri. If I give you $5 to gamble right now, you're going to be a gambling addict.
That is true. I guess this is the most. This is interesting. the fact that all the girls, their like world where they go in the egg is like clearly related to the person that killed
Their
themselves.
traumas.
Yeah, well, I don't even know it's their
Yeah.
traumas, but it actually might be their traumas. But it also is like where they died. So like, I has the school because like Koito jumped off the balcony. You have Neiru on the bridge because her
I
sister,
figured
like,
this
jumped
out
off
in
the
like
bridge.
episode 7, EliteAri. Were you proud of me?
Yeah, because I probably also figured it out around that point. So well done. Momo's in a train, which we don't never find out, but I assume that means her like girlfriend.
She jumped in
off
front of the train. You see her
yeah.
statue falling in front of the tracks all the time.
Yep. And then Rika is in an open field, I guess, because she starved herself to death, and I don't know what the symbolism there is, but it is what it is. That was pretty crazy. Okay, that's it.
Wasn't there 2 for her? Oh no, I guess it was. Because
like
part of my thought right now is that the field was just the 2 of them, but no, I think it was her every time. Never mind.
Yeah, her like turtle got attacked there.
Crushed.
Yeah, crazy.
It was so sad, EliteAri. I didn't like it. Why'd they make the show dramatic?
That's so true. Okay, so that's it for symbolism. Now, I don't know what you're gonna have to say for any of these, but characters. I like, just to say, because Ai's my favorite, to explain why, I do like, I just
You
like,
always like this character, EliteAri.
what is this character? How do you give me a summary?
A little shut-in boy, a little shut-in girl. She's depressed. She gets bullied. EliteAri's favorite character every time.
Yeah, so this is not at all. Now it kind of is why I like her, but not for the parallels we're drawing to Mushoku Tensei. I think the what I like about
Oh my god, I didn't even realize I was doing that. I couldn't remember what I was recalling, EliteAri. You're a genius.
Yeah, I think what I like about
That was all on intuition.
which is different to Rudius, is that I think Ai is a very gentle person who doesn't deserve at all to be suffering, and it is very sad to see it. Oh
my god, I made a Mushoku Tensei joke in the episode 1 notes, EliteAri. This was all subconscious.
Okay.
A shut-in, fake bullying at high school, question mark, EliteAri's got a type. This was actually better than Mushoku Tensei, though, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. It's true. This bullying was real, EliteAri, because it wasn't super cruel. It was just kind of cruel.
That was another thing of my predictions for what you'd think. I'm like, oh yeah, bullying is a thing in this, and Kyle just doesn't believe bullying is real, so like,
No, it's okay. You're allowed to paint, like, dye on her thingy. That's okay, because then you just run away when she shows up. But if she had shown up and then they had said, kill yourself, bitch, and then they beat her up, then that would be too far. That's fake.
True. No, that's not how high school girls bully each other. They don't beat themselves up, I guess.
Nope.
But
high school girls don't bully at all. First of all,
that's
it's only boys.
absolutely not true. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I like Ai because it's like she doesn't deserve any of this, and the perfect scene for like why I think she's like a gentle person is the first scene in the show where she like sees a bug and she like buries it and gives it a grave and like is praying in front of it because she's like, oh, it's like cute little bug like died and I feel bad for it.
And the guy
like,
beeps his horn.
Yeah. It's like the perfect.
It was a very moody
characterization of Ai.
start, EliteAri. It was very good.
Yeah,
you like that scene.
But yeah, immediately that was like straight away. I'm like, oh, I like this character a lot. She's really interesting.
She was very cute, and then she has the thing when she's in her outfit's very good, her character design is very good, and the hair, and then she's got the little hood on. It was all very cute.
I do like the yellow hood. Yeah, it's very cool.
It's a sunflower hood. It's her favorite, as she said when she first introduced herself to Momoe.
Who she immediately recognized as a girl, and she was very happy about that.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
After those mean other girls didn't, EliteAri.
True. Did you ever think that Momo was a guy?
No, because I clocked at the beginning that was the thing they were going for, I think. Okay. I think I was like, they want us to think. I was like, oh, is it actually EliteAri? I remember seeing her in the ED and thinking, oh, there's going to be a boy character. And then when she showed up, I was like, oh, it's a girl character, though. And like, that's what they were going for. So I was primed because I watched the ED because I'm a real man, unlike you, EliteAri.
Well, when I saw Momo, I was like, oh, I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, is this a girl or a guy? I have no idea. And when they confirmed it, I was like, oh, okay, it's a girl. But I wasn't sure the whole time.
I think I was a little confused at the beginning at whether or not I was a boy or a girl.
That's kind of crazy. Okay.
Like for the first 3 minutes, I think.
Okay. That's, you know what? That didn't even cross my mind. I was like, oh,
I don't think she spoke very much, so that's okay, EliteAri.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So, the interesting things about Ai, what is there? She has a mess of feelings concerning Koito, Mr. Sawaki, and her mum. And these are like all the character things that define her. She like...
Oh, that was one of the great parts, EliteAri. I have a note in like episode 1. I'm like, so he's fucking the mum, question mark? And then he actually was. That was epic. Yeah. And then who cares about this, EliteAri? She's got a little bed and there's a little cover on it. And it's very cute.
Cool.
And then Kokiko, or whatever her name is,
Koito.
They have a little scene in there where they decide to be friends. And that was so cute. And they just said interesting things to each other, EliteAri. Move on. Okay, here we go. Next character.
Okay. So next point on she hates herself, she hates her eyes, she hates her attention-seeking nature, and she there is the interesting scene. I'm curious what you think about this. There's the way the flashbacks are intertwined with Koito and stuff are really good. It's pretty early on. It's a scene where you have Ai in a cupboard and she's like trying to record the bullying that's happening to Koito. And she kind of doesn't get the recording. Like she basically fails at getting the recording.
She doesn't want to expose herself.
Yeah, because she's afraid of the bullies like choosing her as a target again. She's kind of like she's not willing to defend Koito, even though Koito kind of saved her. And it's like kind of sad, and it's like a little selfish. And she like talks about how like she hates how attention seeking and how like selfish she is. And it's like, oh, I like this. It's a nuanced character, you know. And that was a really cool scene.
It was. They're all very nuanced, EliteAri. Good word. Good word. I like that word.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. And in that scene, she also talks about how there's like a part of her that resents Koito for the fact that she didn't talk to her. And it's like, oh, like she's a nice person, she's a gentle person, but you know, she has hate in her heart too. And it's like, oh, it's interesting.
Yeah. There isn't very, because I guess this is more episode 1 stuff, but it was very immediately because they introduce the Wonder Egg girl first, and so I was like, oh, so this is our second main girl. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like their relationship, even though they only had like 5 minutes together or whatever. They're like sitting in the hall or whatever, and I think it's her pen that she uses as like her main weapon throughout, right? Or did she like borrow Ai's pen or something?
I'm not sure. But the weapons do mean something, so I'm curious. Like there probably is a reading for the pen.
I seem to use a different weapon that she got from each of the girls, right?
Sometimes, yeah.
She uses the ribbon in the next one. I can't remember any of the other ones though.
She uses the light from the 2 fans.
That's true. Yep. That pretty epic, brother. Pretty epic.
Yep.
And then they start doing the flashback to the Koito or whatever, the girl that killed herself. And then that relationship was like immediately great too, and really interesting and dynamic.
Yeah.
So I was like immediately like 2 relationships you're rather invested in. And the cool thing is that eventually by the time you're on like episode 7, you're like, oh, who cares about Koito and Ai? Like she's got the greatest 4-way relationship going of all time. So it just like kept iterating on itself of like really interesting dynamics.
Yep.
It's pretty good, EliteAri. What a show.
It is. Yeah, I agree. Should we just talk about because we're talking about character dynamics. There's one more note I want to say on Ai, which is that I'm curious what you thought about this scene, which is the scene where she runs back to school for the first time. She's like, I'm gonna go back to school, and she like goes and
that was interesting.
Sawaki. Yeah, so my reading of this, this is when I said in the intro, or the overall thoughts, I said that like this show has scenes where it's like 90% of the way to being perfect, but it misses something where I'm like, it's too ambiguous. It's like too like I'm not quite sure what's going on here. It like doesn't land as much as I want it to. Because this scene, it's like execution wise, it's so good, and at the end, it's like I don't know what to feel. Yeah.
No, I think I'm the opposite of this, and I think this might actually be like a defining split for us in a lot of things.
Okay.
Where like I like felt that they were trying to do this big dramatic moment here, and I don't think and not because of the drama where I was complaining about drama before. It's just me accidentally using the same word. This feels like something like from a scene in something you would like that I wouldn't like, where she gets the courage to run back to school and she's had a thematic revelation or something. I think the scene is almost saved for me because it's ambiguous and I was more confused than like cringing by the end of it. So I remember it like being like, oh, the show once again not doing a generic scene that I don't like and avoiding it and being cool. I feel like there's got to be examples that I'm vaguely recollecting here, but I cannot think of right now. But yeah, that is interesting because I remember I was like, so she went back to school because she finally realized that she's got to like move on from her crush on the teacher. Because this is at the end of the episode where she's very conflicted about her mum and the teacher dating. And at first you think it's just like, oh, it's not her dad, so she's mad. But then one of the girls brings it up. Is it the how do you say the one that starts with N, EliteAri? Neiru. I think is it Neiru that says like, oh, she likes the teacher or something?
Yeah, it is.
It's like kind of out of character for her. Oh yeah, that was cute. God, a character interaction is the greatest, EliteAri. We love these great 4 girls. Yep. What was my point?
Talking about how she
it brings up that she's got a crush on her and stuff. And I do like how they play with the tension of that throughout the episodes where you're trying to figure out if the teacher's a bad guy. Like, was he like sleeping with this middle school girl or something? And then especially when we are sort of doing the what if he was the bad guy thing in the
second last one
episode 12.
Yep.
That was a good little tension, especially how they write the scenes around it. Especially when he's done the art piece of her looking all older, which was really cool.
But also
And
creepy,
then
right? You
he's
can read it. There's like two
yes,
ways to
and then
read
he's
everything. It's
complimenting her.
yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you're going to be a beautiful girl like your mother," and you're like, "Oh, here it comes."
Yep.
But then it didn't come, and then you're like, "Oh."
I do have to
They're like
say,
riding the line of the tension here really well.
yeah, I do think now that I've seen it twice, I think it is completely open ended. Like you could read it either way. I have a strong reading, like what I think. But it's like you definitely could read it either way. Like there are things like the painting and the villain bit at the end, and the fact that he is like just a homeroom
Painting is
teacher, but
creepy.
he's like showing up at her house all the time, and it's like the scene where like he's like got Koito in his arms, and it's like what is going on here, and it's like this, and it's like there is ambiguity which I like.
Because there is an explanation for all of them. He just wants to fuck the mom. She just cuddled him because she's been getting bullied and he's telling her about it. And
yeah, so I
like
guess
painting could actually just be innocent.
yeah, I think I guess let me see where I wrote it in my notes, because I do my like how I read this the second time through especially is that he is basically someone who's there's nothing he's done nothing wrong basically. He is purely just he's trying to save people or like fix them. He like really likes that. It's like who he is. And the examples are like he's obviously the fact that these are my readings. Like the fact that he visits Ai so much is because he genuinely wants to try and save her, like try and fix her, and he clearly identifies that she's struggling and wants to save her. The fact that he was like hugging Koito and like in that scene where the flashback scene where it's like you could interpret it as like, oh my god, there's got like an inappropriate relationship. But once you know the context, if assuming it's true, because it could also be a lie, but once you know the context that he knows exactly who she is and she bullied this other teacher to like kill himself and she's trying to exploit people and stuff, and it's like despite knowing that, he's trying to save her, and that's why he has that he's having that hug despite the fact that it looks bad because he actually wants to save her. And the fact that like there's like this one line where they talk about how I think her like his Momo, how they were like related. She says that Mr. Sawaki like likes adopting the rescue cats or whatever, and I'm like, oh, it's like another element where it's like he really likes like nurturing things and saving them and stuff. And I'm like, oh, it all feeds into that. I like it. I think you can have a reading like that where it is like he is just that is the central thing to him. But you could also have the complete opposite reading where it's like exploitative and he's doing it for his own gain, or like but it's anyway.
For me, all those details like fill in, like I didn't even think about it or care about it on that layer. It was more just the like, well, he's like the show's building him up to be like, oh, this is a nice guy, so obviously he's going to be evil in the end. Mm-hmm. And sort of playing with that more, like he rescues cats so he can fucking eat them or something, brother.
Yeah.
And then he fucking like he's definitely fucking this student and stuff, and everybody thinks he's just so handsome, and he's even like the girl's uncle or whatever, so that we can have added drama when we reveal he's a bad guy. And it's like all these like little like, oh, you know where this might be going over here, but it doesn't.
Yep. And they're aware of it. They bring it up. Like Rika brings it up like, oh, maybe he had sex with Koito or whatever.
Yeah, and maybe he just wants to molest the great Ai over here because that's what step parents do, EliteAri. It was the
younger step parents, right? That's what she said.
Yes. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. The way they handle like sex and stuff, I think is very interesting in the show too, where it's sort of like the girls do feel younger, and it does feel like they all have different understandings of it, and they sort of bring it up differently. And it feels kind of genuine and like not jokey and not immature kind of. It's interesting. It's not really how you would see it portrayed in anime stuff, I guess. Like I don't know. I guess there are other examples, but I don't know. In K-On! I feel like they would all go, what? If somebody brought it up or something, and it would be like overly jokey. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of how it would go in Madoka.
It is what you're saying about they have different understandings of it. Like you have Rika, who's obviously very aware of sex and stuff because of her mom and all that. And then you've got like Ai, who like doesn't. She like hears Rika making innuendos and she has no idea what she's saying. She's like, "What do you mean by that?" And it's like, oh, they're like different stages.
Well, she kind of. But then there's like an added layer of it seems like I does, but she's just feigning that she doesn't, also true. Because like they are all kind of making jokes. Like when I think Rika makes a joke when they're watching the N1 EliteAri, the N word. What's her name?
Huh?
Neiru or something.
Oh, Neiru.
What's her name?
Neiru. Jesus. Okay.
Neiru. It's a weird one. I had trouble spelling it too. When we're watching her dream the first time, Rika says to like like if we record one of your dreams, it'll be some freaky sex dream or something, and they all kind of giggle like, yeah, she's the quiet one. That's what she's dreaming about.
Yeah,
but it's funny. There's also like the implication that Rika probably got molested by one of these dudes, and that's like where she's getting her like descriptive claims from. but it's never actually gone into too much.
Yeah.
Obviously, with a lot of the girls that kill themselves, it's more explicit at different points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't know. I liked the varied sort of discussion here because how much of this is about like girlhood is interesting too, because obviously it's about 4 girls who are all 14 and are going through different stages of all this stuff, and then all of the victims are also women, and there's
Mm-hmm.
constantly like the Ura-Acca and Naka or whatever their names are, EliteAri.
Mm-hmm.
They're always saying things about women, and like boys and girls suicides are different. Boys are just like
True.
fucked up and actually in bad situations, but girls, they're just dumb bitches who are having an emotional problem, so they got to
Mm-hmm.
kill themselves or whatever. And they all want to make daughters and stuff like that.
Yep.
So there's definitely some thematic commentary going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to like feed into it. Not feed into it, think about it, I guess.
Yep.
And it was an interesting aspect of the show, Leo. What can I say?
That is true. Now, to take it all the way back, my interpretation of this running to school scene by I think it is pretty similar to what you were saying, but I think the difference is that it ties into the whole episode is, this is a very confusing episode, by the way, it's all out of order, but the she's talking to the girl who was seeing ghosts, like that's the egg girl that she's like dealing with.
Yeah.
And that girl talks about how like, oh, she can like see things that other people don't, and then when she's in hospital, she's like hearing all these voices in her head, and I think that is really what got to where she's like remembering, she's like seeing how much that girl was traumatized and how she like basically died in that state, and it was like she kind of got stuck in a hospital forever, and she's thinking about how like, oh, I have all these I don't know what's going on, I have a whole mess of emotions with my mom and Koito and Mr. Sawaki, and there's all these things in my head and I don't know what's going on. It's just better than just like staying here and doing something forever, which is just being the same, like laying in my bed and being like a shut-in.
Yeah,
It's better. Well, it's better to do something, which is to go to school and actually just confront whatever and just take a step in a direction, even if it's not the wisest decision or if it's well thought out at all. Because she does it on an impulse. She doesn't really think it out. She's like having a bath and then she's suddenly running to school. And it's interesting because it's like, I don't think this is, I guess it ended up being the wisest decision, but it probably isn't. Like it could have been that she goes back to school and she starts getting bullied again. But she's fortunate because people gave her space, and it was like, she was very lucky in that. It's I don't know. I find it interesting that she just does it on the spur of the moment.
That
I
seemed
like
like another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that little detail was another like interesting detail where it felt very much not like a show. Where it's like that probably is what happened if you leave for bullying for a long time. Like people probably just like avoid you and stuff when you first go back. I don't know why that like resonated with me too. I was like, oh, that's like a cute little detail. Or it could have just been like the next day, here come the bullies, but I has learned, and she's gonna stick up to them or dissuade them, or she's gonna be sad, but then she's gonna get a text message, and then she's gonna be like happy and be like, well, I got these friends, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, that was an interesting way to handle it. The texting EliteAri. Do you want to? I had a vague note about that.
I love the texting.
Yeah, me too.
It's really good.
It's funny because I remember there was a YouTube video about texting in movies or something. It might have been an Every Frame a Painting video or something, where they were complaining about how like texting is always done boring in movies. I don't remember. And there was one weird art movie that did it cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because the TV show You that I finished recently also has done the texting stuff, their whole thing. So it is very interesting how it's like differently portrayed. I think I do like it here where they've got representative like profile pictures. I think Rika's is the only one where it's of her, which is very fitting.
Yeah,
and then like they all have little ones that are like symbolic and stuff like that, and how they text and how quickly they text and commenting on, oh, they left me on red, something must be wrong, and all this sort of stuff. And that was really good.
I just to say, I love Ai's profile picture. It's like this random cat in the street or something. I'm like, oh, it's like really cool. She probably saw a cat and took a photo, and it's like really cute. Yeah, the example for me where I'm like, this was really good is the scene where they're sitting in the egg world, like the three of them. They're trying to hear about like where Momo is, and they like text her, and she like doesn't reply, and it's like, oh, like why is she taking so long? That's weird because she like usually replies instantly. And then she replies, and it's like about, oh, I'm on a date, and then they're like, oh, okay, she's on a date or whatever with a guy, and then they all freak out and they're like messaging at the same time, and it's like, this is great. I like this a lot. You know, group chats, it's crazy. I don't know, small stuff like that. And there's like a scene I remember where like, I think Rika copies Neiru's emoji or something. Neiru's like, don't copy my emoji. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so funny. Yeah, cool stuff like that.
Just while I remember it, another little detail is I like when Rika like freaks out and gets really mad or really mean, that they all just like don't there's never a moment where she is mad and runs off, and it's actually like a plot beat where Momo is actually mad at her for something she said. They all just
Mm,
roll with it and understand that she's a crazy bitch,
mm.
but they still like her. I like that we never had any like sort of forced like that feels like a very like anime scene,
Yeah, there's no
but we sort of
schism.
avoided it because we did it so constantly. Um,
Yep.
it was very cute. It was the least generic show I've ever seen. Literally, what a show!
Excellent.
Take me back.
Okay, so that was my notes on I. Now I just want to talk a little bit about Koito because I think the best thing the show does is concerning Koito, and this was like what really amazed me about the show the first time I watched it. Um, and I'm curious what you think because it is like it all depends on your like viewing experience. Um, the whole time in the show, it's really interesting because we only see Koito through Ai's perspective, and we don't know much about her at all. But Ai like really values her, so it's like we kind of we vouch for her character because she like Ai kind of like sees her character in a good light. Um, and the fact that we get the reveal in the final episode that it's like she firstly didn't intend to commit suicide, just assuming this is true, it could also be a lie, whatever. But assuming it's true, what Mr. Sawaki says that she was like the implication is that she like had sex with teachers or something and then blackmailed them and then they committed suicide and now she's like trying to do the same for Mr. Sawaki. That's basically what's going on. And it completely reframes her character as instead of being this like kind person who was like looking for a friend and was like trying to save Ai or something or like really liked Ai and like thought she was like she could be like a best friend or something. It completely reframes their friendship to be like she was not at all friends with Ai, or if she was just trying to get to Mrs. Sawaki somehow,
It's
and
like manipulating her.
yeah, manipulating Ai in a way. And it kind of you do read that in the second watch through, where it's like you can easily like the way that the things she says and the way she says them, it's like very like manipulative. Even the thing with the painting where it's like first like Ai is getting painted and then like she kind of talks to Ai about it. She's like, oh, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do the painting. Like you can pull out or whatever because it's like you don't want to damage Mr. Sawaki's reputation or something like that. And it's like, oh, like on one hand it seems like she's doing it out of Ai's interest, but it's actually out of Mr. wanting to get closer to Mr. Sawaki. And then you see like her getting painted by Mr. Sawaki. It's like really interesting. But the interesting thing is that it completely also reframes her character as instead of being like put together, she's like a broken person as well. And it's like we like obviously we don't know about her backstory, but it's like you don't. The message here is that you truly cannot know someone. They can be the person who is like the light of your world and saved your life and everything, but they could have as much you just can't you might not know them at all. And just because they did a good thing for you from your perspective, it doesn't mean they're a good person whatsoever. Yeah. I like this a
like
lot.
Abby from The Last of Us.
Yeah, and it kind of comments on
or
how
like
much
that Heavenly Delusion one. Spoiler. Leary doesn't know.
I don't even know what you're talking about. But it comments on the idea that you can read a lot into other people's behavior that has nothing to do with their intentions, and I like that. This is the most interesting thing the show did, I think, which is the reveal on Koito. So I was very satisfied with this answer here.
See, I kind of ignored the reveal. I think I just was like, oh. I don't know if I care anymore about what happened with her. I kind of did, but like, it's like I'm just so invested in the other relationship that like this one has fallen to the wayside. I did recognize the character design, like as a character, like this character looks like other characters that have also been like this, where they're the slightly older girl character that like takes the main girl character by the hand and teaches them something and seems put together, but is like really secretly like the most fucked up and usually turns on them in the end. So I don't know why. I did have an example when I was watching it where I recalled it, and I feel like it was something we had watched and talked about together, but I can't remember because the only thing that's coming to my mind is Mushoku Tensei, but I don't think that's it. The I can't. I need to stop trying to think about it. I don't know. There's something. It's like the long hair and the disheveled like strands, and her looking very much like a white girl. For whatever reason, that's like the character archetype in my head of like.
Well, she has the glasses as
this
well.
is
They're
that
like
character.
pretty defining.
I think the glasses is part of it. I definitely think.
Yeah.
She reminds me of one of the characters from Maidens of the Savage season, which was a little show I watched. But that character wasn't like that.
There's also something to say, less so than her character design, there is also like her behavior, which is that she's never like, she doesn't really connect much with Ai. She's not like having genuine moments like Rika has with her or something. It's like, she's kind of there. She doesn't like, she smiles like gently, but she doesn't like laugh much. And it's like, we don't know much about her. And she's like, I don't know, it's interesting. She's like distant, but also like Ai's favorite person in the world. But yeah.
I felt like it was genuine in episode 1. I remember thinking those were like nice moments. Obviously, there seems to be some recontextualizing at the end that I haven't really thought about too much. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm stumped on not being
No,
able
it's
to identify the other
yeah,
ones.
sure. It's important to say that you can completely read this differently, which is assume that Mr. Sawaki is lying to protect himself, and she is actually a genuine friend to Ai,
Yeah.
and he is involved in her death and everything like that. That is a completely valid reading, and there's nothing that contradicts that in my like second watch through released. Just on Koito though, there is one more scene I wanted to talk about specifically, which I thought was really cool. And it's a small thing, which is that you have I don't remember what episode this was in, but there's a particular moment where Ai is talking to, I think it's probably to Neiru or something, and she's talking about a point in the past where you have her and Koito were like using this coin to kind of determine it was like a psychic thing or whatever. It's like you like move your hand around and you're gonna figure out if it says yes or no about like whether your crush likes you back. And Ai frames this scene like when she's retelling it to her friend. She says that Koito like it ended up being yes, and I was like maybe Koito like moved it herself because she wanted to like make it so that Mr. Sawaki liked her. But she was so genuinely happy. And so clearly it wasn't her because she was so happy. And we're like looking at this scene and it's like animated and we see it, but we don't see Koito's face. We purely see it from the back, and we hold on the perspective of that like rear shot from Koito, and we only see Ai's perspective of the scene. Like we only see Ai in the scene, like from our perspective, as she's narrating that Koito is like unbelievably happy in this moment. It's so interesting, because it's completely ambiguous as well. Where it's like, is she happy or is Ai reading into this completely? And it's like, oh, this is really interesting.
Because that ties into them shutting off the life support thing, where it's like they both press it so you don't know who did it type thing.
Yeah.
And that's like the similar thing where it's not about the method, it's sort of about the outcome.
Yes.
And like just being able to skip the method and like revel in the outcome. I don't know. That was interesting. See, that wasn't too dramatic, EliteAri. You know, we were still in the good space there because you know, but then afterwards, you know.
Yes.
Because I think that's episode 9. So
it probably is. That was the first one where it was we focused a lot on Neiru, and there was a lot of sci-fi stuff in that episode about like scientists and
true. She runs a company.
Yep.
And she's a little girl.
That is true. Artificial insemination. She is a member of Japan Plati or something. High IQ. Yep.
Just like me.
True. Yeah. Okay.
What was so funny about that, EliteAri? Why'd you just giggle?
Because you're not Japanese. I could be in Japan Plati. That's ridiculous.
I see. That makes sense.
The next character I have notes for is Rika. So my reading of her character, which I think we agree, and I don't know if you'd say this explicitly though, and maybe you would disagree because you do disagree sometimes on this. I think that all the time she is putting up a front. However, she is fully self-aware of it, and she like admits that she's like putting up a front sometimes, and I like that.
Yes, really cool. It was so. It's like yeah. It's just like me, EliteAri, you know.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah. Trying to think, what can I say about Rika?
There's because it is like I think she calls at some point Neiru a tsundere at some point. It was very funny because it's like obviously she's like the tsundere, and Neiru's like the one that doesn't speak but is like mean. She's actually logical, EliteAri. That's why she doesn't get along with girls.
She don't say that.
Now the front thing is interesting because obviously Asuka is like my favorite character of all time, and she is very, 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 absolutely not self-aware. So it might seem contradictory for me to say this, but it is sort of, it is undescriptively unrealistic or something when you have sort of characters like this, and obviously unrealistic characters work for some types of stories and stuff like that. EliteAri, calm down. Like a real life person that is like this is always like overly self-aware. And it's sort of the thing people say where it's like self-awareness doesn't like fix the problem. Like it's almost like worse than denial. And that kind of seems like the case with Rika. And it is like great. It is like she will make the same mistakes forever, kind of like her mother. And like even if she is like she understands it, but it doesn't matter because like understanding something and emotionality is completely different. And I don't know. I really like this portrayal. It was like a type of character, but like much more fleshed out than like usual. And it's funny because the tsundere character is usually used for like comedy, but not like comedy like this, where it's like she is like funny and cute and mean, but like it's more cute and funny than mean, even though it's mean. Like the meanness is the punchline because it's wacky. The meanness isn't the setup to the joke where she punches Ai for grabbing her ass or something. Yeah. I don't know. Rika's the best, EliteAri. What can we say?
Okay, I have two things I think examples. One is when, like an example of what I'm talking about here, where she puts a front, is like when Ai notices her scars, and then Rika's response to that is to be like, "Oh, hey, show's over," and then she like waves Ai away to like look away, and it's like clearly she
That was
knows in
pretty
this
cool.
moment that like they're having this moment, and she noticed it. She's like, it's just like the character she puts on to like wave away, whatever. But another kind of cool interaction was where you have the scene where, oh god, I don't remember the context enough, but she like basically Rika is upset. She like runs away when they're at the mall, and she's like basically lying on this bench, and she's like quite clearly upset. And then as soon as I like chases her, she like puts on a smile again as soon as she arrives, and she's like, she assumed that I would chase after her as well, and she like brings it up. She's like, oh, I knew you'd like chase after me, whatever.
Yeah.
But she's also like the thing is she was sad before I showed up as well. Like she was like crying about it a little bit. But then she puts on a smile. That's really interesting.
I also remember a little detail from that scene. She like touches the back of the couch and it's dirty. I was like, this show's
I
the
don't
best.
remember that, but that's pretty great. But more of the scene is that when that scene ends, this is another thing she does, which is that she cries in front of Ai, and then immediately she puts on a happy voice again, and then she like runs away, and we like never see her face. It's like she had a moment of like genuine crying, but then she like kind of pretends it never happened and like is like all happy about it. It's like, I'll see you tomorrow, whatever. And she runs away, but we don't see like how upset she is in the moment. I like that. Small things like this.
See, I took that scene as like she actually was over it.
Well, I'm not trying to say that she's hiding it in that moment. I'm saying that she's like, the fact that she transitions to being happy so quickly, that's part of the appeal of how self-aware she is about things, I think.
Yeah.
And another example to say is that it's not the first scene we see her in, but it's the first scene where she meets Ai, which is that she shows up in the egg world and she's hunched over and in pain. And then out of nowhere, she's like, oh, my ribs were, and then out of nowhere, she's like, she just decides she's over the pain. And it's like, I don't know what's that. There's no like,
well, I think it's an attention thing, right?
I don't know if it's an attention
That's like
thing.
ties into the mother thing. And I think all of the girls are sort of dealing with attention, I guess, except for Neiru, the N1 Ilitari.
Yep, Neiru.
But even her kind of, I guess, with her comatose friend.
Yeah.
Kotobuki or whatever Ilitari. You know, I know these names.
Wow, that was impressive.
Yeah. Was it actually that?
Yeah,
I feel like I was
Kotobuki,
definitely fucking that up on purpose at the end.
Yep.
The Buki part.
I think it is.
Because there's a big revelation that, I was just wants attention, and that's why she's. I think Koito might even say that at some point.
Yeah.
And it's like a cute like thingy, and then obviously Momo wants a type of attention that she never gets from boys, and then with the Rika thing, it's definitely like her mother doesn't pay attention to her, and or she doesn't think she does, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of like it's kind of like a gag where she's like, "Oh, my ribs are hurt, so you will come and check on her," and then she can be like, "It doesn't even matter, bro," and she's like standing up.
That is interesting.
But she wants like the noticing thing.
Yeah.
She's just like me, Ilitari.
Yeah, that is an interesting reading. I'm trying to think. What did I even think about that? To me, it's more like she's willing to show both sides of herself. Like one, she was like willing to like be in pain, but also willing to like pretend she wasn't in pain and like just go with it. I find that interesting. I don't know if I'm expressing
the
that right.
Self-awareness is also a way of like reaching out. It is like an exclaiming for attention thing of like, I understand how this works, just like you, and it's like an attempt to connect, I guess. Which obviously the show is also like making connection is great or whatever. Just like all these animes, Ilitari. But the front thing is interesting because we have this argument about like real life internet people a lot. Where I'm always like, nobody's playing a character, Ilitari. Stop being stupid. Everybody is being genuine. And I kind of feel like this is a descriptive example of that, where it's like she's self-aware. She's like very sort of insecure tsundere type, but like there isn't a pretending there. Like everything she says, she wants a genuine reaction for, because it all comes from a place of like absolute genuineness.
True.
It's not like pretending. Like maybe Koito or whatever her name is pretending to do something, to be like sneaky, but like very upfront, like emotional, over the top people like Rika or whatever. It's not like interacting with people is like an outlet for like emotions in that sense of like, I'm gonna be crazy and self-aware because these are all the things I'm thinking, and I want to say all the things I'm thinking so I can get it out, and then maybe I can get a reaction. But almost the exercise in getting it out is also like the fun, like therapeutic part or whatever. I don't know.
Yep.
She's the best Ilitari. Put her at the top of the list.
You know what?
Not number 2.
She is very great. I like her a lot. She'd be a close second. And you know one thing I like about it a lot, and I know they do say this in the sub, but in the dub I like it as well because of the how it's said. But she said her introductory line, "I'm Rika Kawai, Kawaii like kawaii because I'm a
Yes.
cutie." I'm like, I love this.
That's great, and she's a great junior idol, and all the other
True.
bitches were too ugly, and that's why her group failed. And this fat
Yep.
girl was giving her money earlier. It was pretty epic.
Yeah. Well, okay, before we talk about that actually, I do like again this line that she's rehearsed and she says it to everyone, like she says it every time she's introduced. That is another element of like she's like created this character of like who
Yeah,
she is a little bit. I like it. It's very cool. But on the Chami, the girl she's like trying to save who like starved herself, that was very affecting actually. Of all the trauma stuff I think we saw, this one, as well as the trans guy, I think.
yeah,
That was also affecting. But this one where it's like she was like all bones when I saw her next, and it's like damn, like her words really affected her. And she didn't expect it to go that far. And it's like I this was probably the one that touched me the most in terms of like, oh man, like I feel really bad for this girl and for Rika in this situation because she was like trying to help her out. She's like, oh, don't steal. Like I don't want to be with like a fat person or whatever. But she didn't realize the effect of her words. But I like that.
yeah. It was sad. She's all skin and bone and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I just thought of an interesting way to talk about how the show does like dark stuff.
Mhm.
And this was definitely something I was thinking of, and because I generalized it in a way you're not gonna like. But and this is to compare it to Madoka. Where I was saying Madoka feels very 2010s dark, whereas this feels very 2020s dark. Where like in Madoka, the punchline is that it's dark. Like it wants you to think it's like like kind of normal, and then it hits you with the dark stuff. And that's not just the case for the first twist where Mami dies or whatever. Spoilers from Madoka Magica, I guess. She comes back. It's pretty epic. She has a fight in this movie. It's fucking epic. The spoilers for the movie, you know. The but even periodically, where it's always like the dark thing. I don't know. I don't know how well else to describe it, but it's the punchline. Like even like this. We're actually spoiling Madoka Magica, all right? I'm not gonna make the joke.
All right,
again.
go ahead.
When Sayaka like kills herself or whatever in that episode, and like the crazy like I remember the reflection of the witch she dies fighting whatever, and she summons it later, and in the movie she appears as it or whatever. Like that is like her arc is like she helps the boy and then everything continually goes wrong, and it's like a tragic tale of the downfall or whatever. Whereas in this, it's like normal. And like the darkness is very normal. There is moments where it punches out, and it is in ways which is very unnormal, which is when like the crazy bad guys show up. And I guess I don't really like those moments, so maybe it conflicting with this is why. But it's like they're just having like a normal interaction, and like they'll meet the girls that have killed themselves, and they'll have normal interactions at first, and then you'll get and then this fucking guy raped me or whatever, and then this guy would stop molesting me, and then my coach kept yelling at me and stuff, and it's like the trauma. But like everything doesn't shift as soon as that hits. Like you go back to the character interaction stuff, and it's kind of the same with like the sexualized talk we were talking about before, where it's like in a different story or even an older story, like the sex stuff would be the punchline and it would be like scary. But the fact that it's very mundane, and then we go back to talking about something else, and like the tone doesn't change. And this is very effective actually, and I'm coming up with this point now. In the 13th episode, where they are just all back together after the two girls as animals have died, and like Momo or whatever was very traumatized by it. And this does play out because she does have like an argument kind of with Ai and then walks off. But like they are just there and speaking again. Actually, I think that's the 12th episode. And then in the 13th episode, they are just like hanging out, and they have gotten past it.
Yeah.
And it's like these traumatizing, like I guess it's another like it feels more real or whatever. Like like I don't know, when you're in like the stages of grief, like somebody has died. Like funerals are like this a lot, where like before the funeral, like people are kind of happy to see everybody because it's like a weird gathering of people you don't usually see. Then you get in and everybody's crying and stuff. And then you sort of leave. And if you have an after party, everybody's like happy again. But it's like I don't know. It's like you have the emotional moment, and it's like you're still pretty like traumatized and sad even at the after party, but it's like a different air. Now, obviously, that's like the most extreme example most people will actually go through in their real lives. Unless we ship EliteAri off to war or something. Don't worry, he'll do the typing or whatever. Now, don't worry, EliteAri will program the bots to kill all of the innocent civilians, EliteAri. AI is bad.
True.
What was I saying earlier? I diverged into calling you a war criminal.
You're saying it was the worst.
The darkness is more plain, EliteAri. It's interesting. I like how it's handled a lot.
This reminded me of one thing, which I don't think it might not be exactly what you're saying, but there's a lot of scenes in the show where the 4 girls will bring up that like their friends committed suicide. They'll be like, "Oh, is that the girl? Is that your friend who committed suicide or whatever?" And in any other show, I'd be like, "Oh, this is gonna be a moment where they're gonna like be like, oh, like the fact that you say the word suicide is like a
the dramatic music comes in
and
it's like, yes, that is my beloved Koito that fucking died.
Yeah, but they don't get phased by it. It's like, oh yeah, it is my friend. Like, yeah, and it's like they just keep rolling with it. It's like, oh, the word suicide is not like a big word where it's like, oh, it's like an emphasis of like, oh my god, this is my trauma. We need to talk about it now. It's like it's a thing that happened and it happened a while ago, and like I'm moving on with it, but it does affect me. But it's interesting. I like it. But yeah,
you can bring it up conversationally because it's not usually how it is in shows is it comes up and then like it's a like the trauma hits again or something, and it's supposed to be like a big reminder that this is a character's like beat. This is the case. Like even I talk about watching the podcast whine about it all the time. They will talk like QT Cinderella is a famous girl with lots of trauma. EliteAri. She has a bunch of wacky stories about getting domestically abused and stuff, and she will just bring it up as like a joke. And then like her co-host, who is her like close female friend, knows to like laugh and make dark jokes about it. And it isn't like it is like probably a traumatizing thing if she thinks about it seriously. Her mother died, and that's like another thing. I don't want to make it too specific here, but it's like these are just things, and I guess it's you usually think about it differently for girls. I guess like, yeah, boys, we joke about anything, bro. Yeah, we're pretty sick, but like no, girls do this too, EliteAri. And it did feel like that, and that is a good example where they are bringing up that stuff, and it's like I feel like they do make jokes about it where it's like, well, why do you even like this girl or whatever? Like, she's not even interesting or something. Rika might say something like that. Why isn't all of the animes written like this, EliteAri? Why do they all suck?
Because they all had good production schedules where they had to plan stuff. I have no idea.
Yeah, fucking dumb flash and lights, you idiots like, rather than good character writing. That's what's wrong. Style and no substance, EliteAri. You know, you like Heavenly Delusion. Where's the substance in that goddamn fucking show?
The mystery is the substance of that, my goodness.
I got the answers, EliteAri. You want them?
No, I'm good. I'll wait for the anime. Okay. The last thing to say about Rika is, which we haven't talked about explicitly, is the stuff with her mum. Is there anything you want to say about this, I guess? The only thing I would say, I guess, before, the scene with there's a big scene, a climactic scene with the animal dying, the turtle, whatever. Not dying, sorry, the animal being like, oh, it's like, you're my mother and I'm going to protect you. And Rika realizes that, you know, my mom's trying to protect me.
Cute.
And I'm like, yeah, like, I love that scene. That's the one scene where I almost teared up. I was like, oh my goodness, this is like so cute. So yeah, go ahead.
What was I going to say? Oh, EliteAri, I love a late 30s woman, single woman out on the prowl. You know, this is like a great character archetype. So, you know, I have empathy for this great mother character. I do. I really like their resolution where, like, because you're expecting a resolution where they hug or whatever and they love each other or whatever. But the resolution is kind of implied. But it's like, you're going to abandon me too, she says. And then she says, yeah, but just not now. And it's like, oh. What a sweet little inversion! Like I love that resolution for that storyline. I guess. Again, they're saying something interesting, not saying what you not even if they're going where you think they're going there in a unique and interesting way. EliteAri.
Yep.
What a television program.
Amen. Okay.
Except it got dramatic at the end. What the fuck was with that?
It did, especially when it came to the next character, Neiru. I actually don't have any. I don't quite know what to say. Like, I feel like Rika and I have like a lot to say about the character, and that's why they were probably my two favorites. Momoe and Neiru. Momoe I actually have no notes on. I guess she has an issue. It's very obvious what her thing is. It's like, oh, I'm being perceived as a boy. Yeah. I don't want to be perceived as a boy. And it's like, okay, I get it. It's like, cool. I liked her.
I mean, the interaction with the Wonder Egg and the trans girl is like probably the best Wonder Egg stuff, I guess.
Yeah, let's talk about that, I guess.
It was really good. And then the kiss at the end, it was, she was blushing and she was very red and it was very cute.
Yep, true.
And did you notice she had a trans flag, like, colored jacket on?
No, I didn't actually. Is that true?
I feel like almost certainly it has to be intentional, right? It was the blue and the pink and the beige.
This show is very colorful. I don't know if we said that. I like the colors in the show. It's like either saturated or something. Like, it's really, really good.
I didn't comment on that stuff. EliteAri always says directing, and I never agree with what he's saying when he says that. But this show, you know, it looked pretty, it moved pretty, it was good looking.
Amen. I completely agree. Yeah. So I guess on the trans boy, it is very affecting. It's like he is a trans. Just to confirm, it was like a trans guy, right? That's what happened in the end. It's like they want to be
trans boy because it's female to male.
Yeah. And it's like they want to be perceived as a man, but then because they're raped, they become pregnant, and it's like there's like nothing. It's like it's just so terrible.
Well, I didn't even like that part. I was like, this was verging on getting too dramatic, but I did like, because it was another way where they didn't handle it too dramatically, like kind of what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is a bit like, for the show, I'm like, this show is just a nice little slice of life show, you know, just having fun. So I was like, oh, okay. But I'm also like the resolution at the end. I just was,
it was very
they
cute.
were in love.
Amen.
And then he burst into smoke.
Yep.
And then the fucking crocodile got eaten. That was gross.
True, by the weird bug thing that I like their designs, actually. Especially the second one with like the wings and
I wanted to kill that bug, but this show had production issues and we didn't get to see it, EliteAri. Can you believe it?
True. That's what season 2 will be, okay? One day when it gets made. Also, probably low chance of that. I don't know how popular the show was, but that would be great if there was a season 2. Okay, yeah, Momo.
Been a long time.
Yeah, hasn't been that long though. Neiru,
I feel like it's not happening. I feel like it's been too long to happen.
It absolutely could happen. I just don't know if there is the collective like interest in it for it to happen. Yeah. It is a show
like,
that,
I feel like the backlash has to be because people know it's not going to happen, or somebody said that like there's no plans right now or something.
You think that, but I don't know how well thought out these things are. Maybe. I'm not sure.
True.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were mad immediately.
Yeah, they're probably mad on episode 8 when the recap didn't. There was a recap and they're like, oh, this sure is trash. What are they doing? I had the recap. I was wanted an episode and we didn't get one. And that's probably where it all fell apart. Okay. My one thing on Neiru, and this truly isn't much of a note, but it's just to say that there's a few times where she unintentionally hurts people's feelings. And then she reflects on this and is like, oh, I'm not fit to be in female society because I like say exactly what's on my mind. And yeah, there's not really much to say there. I guess she's struggling.
Bitches be emotional, EliteAri. What could I say?
That's what Neiru would say.
I do. You get a lot at the end where it's like she was an AI the whole time, and it's like, okay, it fits. Like she was emotionally like weird, but that kind of seemed like a personality thing. And obviously, the point with this and with the girl that gets stuffed in the basement or whatever is that you should not treat AI like they're not people. But I don't know. I don't know if there are things that are just said at the end of. Huh?
I don't know if that's the point, especially not with Frill, but with Neiru maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I actually didn't even cross my mind about the treating AI like people thing.
Well, what else could possibly be the point with the pink-haired girl?
With Frill, like the fake daughter or whatever?
Yeah.
The point. What do you mean the point? Like why she exists? Like,
well, you can't shove her in the basement. She's either got to go to jail for killing this woman, or she's got to do something else. Or somebody had to have a talking to her.
I guess when I'm watching that backstory episode, and even like when the show is done and I'm thinking back on it, I never think like, oh, if only they treated her like a normal girl, because they did, and then she like still killed the.
Well, no, I don't think if they thought she was a real girl, they would stuff her in the basement. Like, I feel like it's like, well, this is just a useless piece of technology that has gone rogue, so we'll throw her in the basement like we would a broken television. I didn't think it was like, we're going to torture this girl.
Well, the thing is that, well, I don't quite know what you're saying, I guess, because it is like, she probably did kill the, actually, it's interesting, because I guess we can talk about it a little bit. She killed the wife purely out of jealousy, which is a very human thing, I suppose. But she does it because of her intellect that was granted to her by her makers, I guess, which is, I guess it is, like, maybe it is a point, maybe it is a criticism of Ura-Acca and Ura-Acca.
You mean her consciousness or her intellect?
Her intellect. I think that not intellect. Her
She did it because she was smart.
Yes. No. Okay. How do I explain this?
I thought it was just like base human jealousy, and it's like another like, oh, she actually is a person because she just got jealous because they weren't paying as much attention to her.
I think it probably has to do with
the fact that calculated.
No, I think it is. I think there's something. The fact that she like threw a hairdryer into the bath it feels like a very like adult thing to do. Like I don't know why I feel like
Does
a
that
kid
kill
wouldn't do that.
somebody? I
It
know
would
about the toaster,
it
but
would
what?
electrocute them, yeah, because it's like a high voltage thing or whatever. I
Oh,
assume.
I
I'm
don't
not
know. I've never used a
certain.
hairdryer.
Yeah. But I don't know. To me, it just feels like the act of throwing the hairdryer makes it feel like a very adult thing to do. But I'm not sure why I feel like that. I don't know, because it feels like
Well, what
she's doing
adults? I
it
don't. What? Why is that important?
because
Am I
it to
missing something?
me, yeah, to me it feels like like she's smarter than like there's a mix within her. Like they even comment on this. They chose 14 as the age because it's like the perfect like whatever bridge between adulthood and childhood or something. And I'm like, it feels like she's struggling with the fact that she has that intellect of like an adult, but she is at the same time like has the feelings and kind of the is in the body of like this like little girl, right? Um it's there's like some conflict there with her character. And the title of the episode is like an adult kid or something. Or
Adult
some
child
yeah,
or
something
something.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. And I feel like this scene has something to do with that. I'm not quite sure, I guess. But either way, when I was watching the scene at the end with like torturing her or whatever, I wasn't feeling like, oh, this like poor AI, like we should be treating her with respect or whatever. I was just like, oh, she's like actually dangerous. And she has like powers to like kind of influence people to die and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
And
it's sort of like like I feel like the general public doesn't know that you can create AI people. So and there's going to be like no record of this girl's existence. So if you just show up with her or like call the police on her or something like that,
yeah,
it's like I don't know what you do in this situation.
yeah,
And like killing her is a little extreme, but also so is like throwing her down the stairs and stuff like that.
true.
Um,
Yep,
I know it is like a what the fuck do you do in this situation.
yep. You lock her in a dark cell with computer
And then
screens.
hacks the mainframe and kills your daughter. That's crazy.
Yep, pretty cool. Um, let's talk about that a little bit, actually. I guess. Let's see. Where are my notes on?
She made everybody kill themselves.
Yeah, so I guess it's interesting. This is the central like. It depends on if this is like a one season story, or like a multi season story. Because what happens at the surface level in this like Wonder Egg story is that you have these people, these scientists who create an AI girl. That AI girl then kills their wife or whatever, one of their wives. But the daughter survives. And then that daughter is seemingly living a very happy life, and they give her all the love in the world and everything. And then out of nowhere, she like the same day where she was appearing very happy, she just suddenly dies, kills herself. And then these scientists are like kind of obsessed with figuring out what caused this death. And they attribute the cause of this death to be Frill, who is their creation, who has somehow enacted this temptation of death or this Thanatos or whatever. And they are kind of trying to now investigate what is it that's happening to girls around the world, these young girls. What is causing this increase in like suicidal ideation or whatever? It must be Frill. That's the reading we get if we assume this is like a 2-season story, I guess. There's an equally, I think there is an equally like valid reading here, which is the one I probably go with if you assume this is all we're ever going to get, which is that it ties in with the same thing that happened with Koito, which is that you truly cannot know someone, like what is going through their head and what is bothering them and how sad they are and everything. And it genuinely could be that this girl just like out of nowhere, because it's from your perspective, it seems like it's out of nowhere because you don't know her as well as you think you do, and she's not expressing the thoughts that you think she has, or that you don't know she has. And maybe she literally just did kill herself one day because you didn't see the pain that she was going through beforehand. And it's
Yeah.
just it's to me it's like a
The lip thing
and
is like the biggest like counter thing, right?
yes, but you could also it is interesting. The lip thing is like there is clearly Frill is involved somehow, but we don't like Frill never says like outright that like she was responsible for this
No.
death or anything. It's
It is like a story thing, right? Where like we give basically like this is like like I don't know, this is what YouTube videos tell me. This is like a problem in Japan, right? That young people kill themselves too often. So it's probably like if you're coming up with the idea for this series, it's like, oh, this is like a problem that's an interesting thing. What if there's like an evil sort of like god or something influencing this? And like it's like actualizing a feeling, right? Where it's like, well, why do these kids kill themselves in real life? Well, death is like an escape, and that temptation of death is like easy way to get out of your problems or something. And what if we like make that like philosophy and make it a character or whatever or a entity, and we have to fight that, and therefore we solve the problem because this is an anime show.
but the thing
You work
is
backwards. That's kind of what I thought about
yeah,
it, but
that's probably the clearest reading of it. However, there's this episode is really interesting because it very clearly is that Frill, this girl that they created, wanted attention. Like her issue
Yeah.
was that like when this wife comes in, this girlfriend, she's clearly upset by it because she's jealous of the attention being taken away from her. And obviously the kid
And it is
being the daughter being born is like the ultimate, or the daughter having a daughter, especially not a kid, like a boy, like child. It's like
yeah.
this is going to replace me or something. And there's like other things throughout this, like small hints. One of them is that she asks her parents, like the creators, Ura-Acca, she asks if she could be made have friends made of her. And one reading of this is that maybe she like either wants to kind of she's actually enacting her plan now of like something going on. Like she's trying to do something with her people that she's creating. Or you could also read it as this is a desperate like plea for attention from her parents, because she was hoping that these parents, when she like when she requests to have friends made for her, she could be hoping that the parents would be like, well, why do you need friends? Like, well, like, or maybe it was like a desperate call where it's like she wants her parents to kind of be like, why do you need friends, basically. Not even that, but it's like they didn't even question, like Akka didn't even question in that moment, like, oh, why do you need friends if you've got like us, or like or like it was like so like there's a subtle reading there where you could read it like it's another cry for attention in that moment when she's asking for friends to be made. Which is, it's probably not the clearest reading or like even the obvious one or whatever, but I feel like you could probably do something like that. And this all ties into like, if you interpret Frill, all of her actions as malevolent, and not purely just that moment of jealousy where she kills the actual mother, that's clearly malevolent. But if you interpret it all through the frame of like, she's just a girl who is like really wants attention and is really like having these feelings, like these negative feelings, and she's like okay, if you interpret her character like that, then you could also interpret it as she isn't responsible for the death of this girl at the end, but because of the torturing, the torture that she endures or whatever, because of Akka and Ura-Acca, or maybe just Ura-Acca, she becomes the thing that they were fearing that she was. Where it's like initially she was just a girl, even maybe after the girl who, like the daughter who killed herself, maybe even after that she was just the girl that they thought like she's just a normal girl who's like upset or whatever and is trapped in this place. But after that, when they go and kill her or like burn her to death or whatever, maybe after that, when she goes into that other plane, maybe at that point is when she becomes this temptation of death, because she wants to get back at the people who weren't paying attention to her. I don't know if any of this makes sense.
Yeah, there's like a parallel there too with Neiru or whatever, whereas like she is the same thing seemingly, but she had friends and she wasn't evil.
True. I don't know.
But it's also just a smaller detail on something you said was like with the daughter, it's clearly like a different type of attention that the woman got from the two guys, right? Because they both were in love with her, basically. And that's sort of what the daughter eventually, once she's been hacked or whatever, she she wants to marry the uncle character, and it seems like it's if it is Frill in that moment, it's like, well, she just wants like. It's a different type of attention she wanted and she was curious about that seemed to like push her to the background, which is like a daughter can never, hopefully EliteAri, be like a romantic with the dads, right? Mm-hmm. So she's like, well, I can't, like I'm not allowed to do that, so it's like all fucked up. She can never win in her mind type of thing.
Yep. Yeah. That's interesting, yeah.
I don't know, it is interesting. The scene at the birthday or whatever, and like the reveal where she does the thing with the lips is really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess
it could be a coincidence. More
generally,
it is possible, right?
It could be.
It is a thing people do.
It is a thing.
Like,
you can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I got big lips, EliteAri. You can do it.
True.
What was I gonna say? I guess because I shit on this episode earlier. It was just kind of like a general representation of like getting more serious, I guess, that I didn't like, along with like both of the animals dying, where I was like, I don't think, like, I think I definitely would have preferred the show if there was kind of like a neater resolution. There is a conflict the whole time, because there is the like, well, when's the QB shoe going to drop? Because like, these girls aren't going to get their friends back, right? That's never going to be the theme of this show, where it's going to be like, oh, you don't actually have to grieve. You can just fight and get your friends back.
Yeah.
That killed themselves. And like eventually there was an interesting sort of meta thing developing where we were losing focus of like, well, we liked the Koito relationship or whatever at the beginning, but like that's completely been pushed into the back of our minds now that the four girls are hanging out.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh, maybe we'll just resolve and like it'll be like because I was trying to right away where Ura and Raka or whatever the fuck, where they weren't evil and we didn't have a twist. So I was like, well, maybe they just orchestrated all of this and it's a big game just so these girls could have friends again. And they're going to be upset when they figure out that they've kind of done all this for nothing. But then they're going to be reminded that they now have each other because of this journey. And I was like, oh, that could be a way we go with this thing. And therefore we avoid some like ending thing. And then like the Thanatos stuff started to get mentioned. And you're like, oh, no. It seems like we're having like some big fight at the end of the series. And I was like, well, we probably have to have some sort of big fight at the end of the show. This is part of it is an action show. Sadly.
But we didn't.
But yeah, we ended up not. So that's also interesting. So I don't know. Yeah. I did feel like I don't know, there was something visceral about the croc dying and then the eating of it.
Yeah.
And like
the
vomiting of it back up.
Yeah.
It is like I don't know, it does feel out of place. Like it doesn't resonate with me in like a good way of like how Joel dies or something, and that's like oh, that was crazy and made you feel bad or whatever. It felt like, I don't know. Part of it, because there is like a weird, and it seems like most people have made this a weird meta narrative where they're like, the show is sort of, this is like almost certainly an uninformed opinion, but if you go with like the show of like, maybe at the beginning they intended to come back and have this Cube twist, but as they got into it, they got distracted in the great character writing, and then they felt the need to throw it in at the end, and they just, it was mishandled or whatever.
Yeah.
It's certainly like a reading you could have. Obviously, you could immediately be disproven if like they come out and they're like, no, this was the plan the whole time,
Yep.
Fuck you.
It's true.
But also, they probably don't care later,
Yep.
Sure bad.
I guess, okay, on this Frill thing, just to say, because I thought of something I wanted to emphasize, which is that, like I said before, to me, the most interesting thing the show did was the Koito reveal, which is the idea that you don't truly know people. And I do feel like when I'm reading this, or watching this Frill stuff, it does feel like it is tying into it can feel like tying into a similar thing with Frill. And I'm not sure, I feel like this is something I would do like an actual structured video essay on, where I would try and tie these ideas together more like coherently. But I feel like that's like an interesting appeal to me. If it is like this girl committed suicide for a similar reason to Koito, which is that from our perspective, we don't know why she did it, but from her perspective, it's like different. Like she's a different person to who we expected. I don't know. There's nothing really to support this in the story, but it's something that I latched onto, in this
maybe you just gotta keep looking for it and you'll find it, EliteAri.
Amen. I'll be the Wonder Egg priority person who says the writing was all put together. They had a genius idea right from the beginning. It was perfectly executed. That'll be me. Okay. To wrap up,
we're going to some great Wonder Egg priority videos on stream tomorrow, EliteAri. Is that what we're gonna do?
You know what? I'm curious if there would be any actual good ones. I'm surely there would be. There's a lot of like.
Well, no, we don't want good ones. We want angry ones.
We do want angry ones. There'll be a lot of those, I'm sure. Especially we can watch the
Mother's Basement one. I swear he made a video.
He did. I've seen half of it, I think.
Did you already watch it?
Yeah, I watched part of it. But mainly I just wanted to see roughly what he thought about it. This is like when I first finished it, I think.
Wait, what did he say?
The main thing I remember is that he said, oh, it like started off really beautiful, really good. Oh my God, there's all these cool characters and it handles trauma, but they like did the trauma thing in a really bad way and have dangerous messaging and it fell apart in the production. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stop here.
Bunch of moralizing, EliteAri. This is no good.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. So
wait, why does it handle trauma wrong?
I'll be honest, I don't remember. So we can watch this on stream, I guess, and see what he thinks. Maybe he's making a good point. I don't know. And maybe I'm strawmanning him. Maybe he said something else and I don't remember quite as much, but that was the takeaway I took from it.
I love beating up the straw men. It's my favorite thing to do.
True. Speaking of straw men, Acca and Ura-Acca, I guess they're not straw men, but you know what I mean. They are different. And I didn't like realize this until my second watch through. Because to me, they were the same person in my mind. I'm like, oh, they speak with
one
voice.
of them is the goofy guy.
Well, that is true. But the thing is that they consistently, Ura-Acca is the one who's trying to fight on the side of the girls. And Acca is the one pushing it, clearly because he's the dad of the girl. He's
telling him too much at times and stuff like that.
Yeah, Ura-Acca's like being like, he's the one who obviously tells Ai the backstory about Frill, and he's the one who, Acca's the one who forces the one of the girls to like release their animal when the girl's gonna come and die. When the animal's gonna die or whatever. Yeah, it's interesting, and it's like Ura-Acca is always trying to like kind of be on their side, whereas Acca isn't. I didn't realize that the first time through, so that was kind of cool. Just to let me make sure I've covered all this. Frill / episode 11. The attention. This is again just to parallel the Frill stuff. She's clearly wants attention from Acca that he is giving his girlfriend, and it's kind of parallel to Ai being jealous of the attention that Mr. Sawaki is giving to her mum. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, yeah, I feel like Frill
all
is
about
parallel to
attention.
Ai somehow, but yeah. What else?
Aye.
Yes. What did Ura-Acca, no, Ura-Acca, Jesus. What happened to Frill in the end? I assume we got this like ambiguous shot where it's like it looks like he burned her to
Yeah.
death, but it's like doesn't look like a corpse, and it looks like there's like weird, like did he like beat her up and like tear her into pieces or something? It was weird and ambiguous and kind of cool.
I remember a fiery shot.
Yes, it was a fiery shot, but yes, okay, that's it on the episode 11 Ura-Acca stuff. Okay,
My goodness.
so
How much more notes you got, EliteAri?
I have a big note, and then I have a bunch of miscellaneous notes.
Okay.
So the big note,
I've got 9% battery, so we can go for like 3 more minutes, and then we'll have to swap over.
Okay, the big note is about Ai's relationship with her mother. I like Ai's mother. She's very interesting. I like their relationship a lot. This is a very interesting part of the show. From the most immediate thing, you found them boring? Is that what you're saying? My goodness.
No, I was gonna say she.
Oh, I thought you were like pretending to be
And
asleep.
going to a point.
Okay.
Oh no.
Ai's mother.
That sounds like this.
Okay. Yep. Ai's mother never gets upset at Ai. She never pushes her too far. She doesn't try to make her like she doesn't ever like make her slightly uncomfortable or anything to be like, oh, you need to be pushed out of your comfort zone. She never like does anything like that. She gives Ai a lot of space. Whereas interestingly, that would be like you'd probably think as that as a good thing, like if you're like a kid. But Ai completely wants the opposite, and she actually wants her mother to give her attention.
Yeah.
Which is it's an interesting relationship because her mother is a good person and probably a good mother, but also Ai doesn't want that.
There is an interesting like I remember just like being, and the show wants you to do the opposite, and it's probably thoughtful to be the opposite. But I was always like trying to figure out like I would come home and be like there's like a pressure to go back to school, and I'd be like, she's got to do whatever she can to not go back to school. Not because I was scared of the bullying, EliteAri, because I remember school sucking, and I'm like, yes, she's gotten time off, EliteAri. This is epic. She's got to keep pretending she's sick so she can hang out with her girlfriends all day and fuck school. So I remember when she went back to school and like declared it, I was like, what are you doing? This is stupid. Don't go back to school. School sucks.
True.
It's just a very funny, weird thing of like, obviously as a parent, you've got to like, and like the counselor's coming back and it's like, fuck off, counselor. Don't remind me of school. I'm having fun days off here.
Yep.
She's not having fun days off though.
That is true. She's depressed and also dealing with other people's trauma and her own.
But fuck school.
Amen. Now, the resolution, I guess, to her character with her mum and everything is that basically throughout this story, she starts talking about how she hates her mum, at least at the moment, which was interesting because you don't quite ever realize why. And it's like it could be because of the Mr. Sawaki thing, but it could also be because of the distance she's like putting between like the fact that she's like distances from Ai rather than like forcing her to go to school or something like that, that could be why she hates her. Yeah, but she has this moment at the end where she's like she realizes that she does come to the realization that her mum is like she's looking out for her in her own way, and she wants her mum to be happy, and she accepts everything, and they sit together on the couch, and it's very cute.
When you're a sad person, EliteAri, you become resentful to the people around you,
Very true.
Deep.
All right, and we're back. So about the mother. There's
Mama.
Yes, there's a few cute things I want to point out, okay? One of them is she gets so excited when Ai has friends over for the first time.
It's cute, yeah.
Yeah. And there's like a
Especially
scene
because
where...
it was Rika the first time, and she just forced herself in. It was a very cute.
Yes, and it's very cute when all of them come. And when Rika, because she's been there before, she's like, "Oh, hi, Ai's mum," and she like refers to as Ai's mum, and she's like constantly like being very like
she wants the cake.
hyperactive.
She needs the cake, EliteAri, all right?
Yep, it's great. Rika's interactions with the mum is like really funny. And I
We're
guess
gonna go back and rewatch all these scenes,
You know what?
EliteAri. We'll skip all the fighting. We'll skip all the dramatic stuff.
Yep.
My goodness.
The interaction where they're all at the house is actually very cool because it is like Rika has her interaction. Ai is kind of like embarrassed a little bit, and Neiru's being very formal.
It's
with the
very
gift,
quick.
And,
It's great.
And then the mum recognizes that Momo is kind of related to Sawaki, and she's kind of like a bit shy about it. And there's a lot of cool interactions when they first all show up there.
And then he shows up, doesn't he?
He does. He shows up later. Oh, and it's like there's a very cute line. Well, this is only in the dub, I guess. I don't know what they say in the sub. The way it's like and pronounced in the dub is really good because she overhears the Sawaki show up, and he's like, "Oh, are there guests over?" And the mom's like, "Oh no, it's fine. Ai's friends are here." And she's like so excited to like say friends because like Ai doesn't have friends, and like the way she says it is like she's clearly so excited that her friends are there. It's like in the background as well. It's like very
Pub
quiet.
was probably better, you know.
Maybe, yeah, but at least in my language I could understand it, you know. Yeah. What is there? Oh, there's this scene. There's like a lot of scenes with the mom I like a lot. One of them is that, and these are like very descriptively real scenes. One of them is where
Maybe for you.
we don't. Well, yeah,
What's he?
maybe. We don't know. We don't know that the mom is dating Mr. Sawaki yet, or like is considering it. So it's the scene before that happens where, for some reason, the mom is like cooking good food for Ai, and it's like, oh, Ai realizes that like, oh, you only do this when you're in a good mood for some reason. We don't know why she's in a good mood or whatever.
Well, it's for big events, right? I think that's what they say.
Well, she said, yeah, it's like something big, or it's like something important, or she's happy about something. It's a thing she does when there's like,
It's an apology meal.
no, it's in this case, I think it's because she's in a good mood. She's like excited about like announcing.
No, it's because you're supposed to be happy, and then we're gonna throw this curveball at you.
That's
we're getting divorced dinner.
No, it's absolutely not.
Yes, it absolutely.
This is the wait.
1,000,000%.
So I think from the mum's perspective, because this is my whole reading of the mum, which is that she actually is quite selfish, but she doesn't realize it. Because I think in this moment she probably thinks that Ai is actually going to be okay with the relationship, and she's excited because she's happy that she has like she has a relationship that she's built with Mr. Sawaki, the mother. She's happy about this, and she kind of expects that maybe she's not even thinking about it implicitly here, but because she is happy, it is being this meal is being created like unintentionally. She's not really thinking about it. She's like, I'm happy. Oh, let me make this meal. This is absolutely my reading. I'm trying to think what. I guess we can go through when I go through my notes, but one of the examples of why I think that she's quite selfish, I guess, the mother, and this is like an example of that, is later on, there is a scene where, another very descriptively real scene, where Ai is like in her bed, she's like having fun because she's like doing the Venny ready thing with Leon, like a little animal, and she's basically summoning it and putting it away, and it's like she's having a really good time, she's smiling and everything, and then the mum calls to her when she's like in her bed, when Ai's in her bed, and she's like, oh, Ai, Mr. Sawaki's leaving now, and then Ai kind of gets put in a bad mood, and the way it's just like the mum is not thinking about Ai in this moment, and how clearly Ai has been upset by Mr. Sawaki, and she's already rejected like the relationship thing, and she's told them that I'm not going to look after you when like I'm gonna put you in a home or whatever. But the mum doesn't think about it in that moment. She's just like, she wants to be respectful. She's thinking more about Mr. Sawaki's feelings in that moment. So like it has to, my daughter has to respect this man and come and say goodbye, and she's not thinking about how it's going to bother Ai in that moment. It's a very selfish. It's a small thing, but it's a very selfish thing. It's stuff like that where I'm like, she's very engrossed and happy in her relationship that she kind of puts Ai on the sidelines a little bit. That's my reading of her mum, I guess, based on a few things. But yeah.
Well, just the dinner scene, because my interpretation is just like she thinks that Ai's going to be mad because it's not her dad. But there's the added aspect that she doesn't know about, that Ai clearly has a crush on this guy too, and that's sort of the drama. I didn't really ever think about the selfishness part. I don't know whether or not we determine whether or not it's actually selfish or not. Disregarding of the feelings unintentionally is kind of what you're talking about there, I think, which is, I guess, selfish. But it's like, she takes care of this fucking girl, she can have a boyfriend, EliteAri.
That's true.
Would probably be her argument.
True.
It's just the complicating factors of who it is.
Yes. The scene where they do it is, I was in Ai's shoes. I was very upset at the mother when she did bring up the idea of like dating. She's like, oh, if you're, I would
really?
never, yeah, because when she talks about how she basically reveals to Ai when they're eating that like, oh, I'm dating Mr. Sawaki, and we're only gonna do it if you're okay with it and stuff. And I'm completely on Ai's side, where she is like very frustrated, and she's not going to give an answer, but like she's very upset about it. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I was with her very strongly in that moment. But it is because I feel like the mother doesn't quite understand what is going on in Ai's mind, and how conflicted she has, like the conflicted feelings she has about the mother, about Mr. Sawaki, and about Koito, and just her life in general. And it's like, from Ai's perspective, it's like, I don't want to deal with this. I can't believe you're doing this to me now. When it's not, she's not doing it intentionally, because she doesn't understand these things that are going on in Ai's head. It's just I was very unhappy, in a good way.
There is
I'm thinking about the frills thing now, right? There is a bit of a parallel here of like the competition with the mother now that you're like a young woman, even though 14 is pretty young, of like the like now all of a sudden it's not like a daughter, like a little kid relationship anymore, but like the daughter does feel like she's in competition of like she actually does like this guy, and but the mother is like a woman who is the guy's hopefully going to be more interested in.
Yeah.
And it's like the frills thing of like competing with with the older woman there of like she can't, like it's like a losing battle, but it's also like they don't understand like it also kind of ties into the Koito perspective thing you were talking about earlier, where the Ura-Acca or whatever his fucking name is, he constantly says like, oh, it was a great daughter relationship we had with this girl, but we have no idea if that's how the frills like interpreted it that way, because it's not like she has an outside life. Like these are the only two guys she knows anything about. She has no distinction between like parental relationships. She was also born when she was 14. So there's a very different thing there of like one-sided, like not even considering that that's a possibility. I'm sure the mother isn't considering that her daughter could have like a crush on this guy, or that
that is
and they're not considering that frills could have a crush on them or whatever, because to them it's purely one-sided sort of thing.
Yep, good point.
Yeah, I'm full of them later, you know. But the mother, that was a divorce meal.
True, and she was divorced because, and I's theory was that she works too hard, and the dad wasn't happy with that or something.
True, dumb bitches be working hard when they should be working in the home, EliteAri. That's what Wonder Egg Priority says.
Amen. But yeah, speaking of your genius points, please. Now all I have left is miscellaneous notes. So if you have any of your notes you want to.
Well, I have episode by episode notes, so I gotta read them out and see if we've already talked about them, and hopefully we have.
Of this? Oh,
Dub versus sub. The sub was actually, we already talked about that. Shut in, fake high school. EliteAri's got a type. This is way better than Mushoku Tensei. Kinda lane trippy lol, because their first episode was trippy, but then you figure out very quickly that it's just a dream world that's trippy, and it's very distinct and different, and it's not very confusing at all. Why'd she have? Oh, I remember. I wrote down some lines. EliteAri, this is great. Why'd she have to say it like that? I don't like her attitude. Descriptively real, bro. Well, this is a line about Neiru or whatever, I think, and I think it must have been I that said it this early, because this is episode 1.
Wait, said what?
Said, this is the line, EliteAri, pay attention.
Okay, Jesus.
Why'd she have to say it like that? I don't like her attitude. This has to be I saying that to Neiru or whatever, right?
No. This was this was I saying it to the egg girl, the first egg girl she meets.
It was. Okay, I like that a lot, because it was like a commenting on her because she was a bit bombastic.
Yes.
So that was good. Now, why did I think that was descriptively real, bro?
Well, she did it afterwards where she was away from the girl. I think she was like sitting in the hallway or something. That is true. Yeah.
But she also kind of liked it. I remember, like, I'd have to rewatch the scene to comment further. Yep. And then my last note for episode 1 was, oh no, episodic trash, question mark, because I was ready for the show to disappoint me, but it took a lot longer, right? My first note for episode 2 is, I don't want this to be a QB situation. We already talked about that.
Yep.
The immediate concession of self-hatred was great. My favorite thing in media is when characters say interesting things. This must have been
Neiru.
No, I think this is an I thing.
Well, it was Neiru.
I was going to say it was a Rika thing.
Well, Neiru was talking about how, like, oh, you do what you do because you want to not escape the self.
Yes,
that you
and then I immediately says yes. And I was like, oh, this is great. We don't have to have a 3-episode arc where we figure this out and she has a million. I was like, oh, this is terrific. She's like a real person.
Yep.
Oh, this show's terrific. Girl of the week, not monster of the week, with 2 exclamation marks, because this is when I realized that the show was going to be good, EliteAri, and we didn't have to worry about these dumb fights because we got a new girl every week.
I guess I could ask at this point, what was your favorite like girl, I guess, that we saved? Like, was there one where you're like, oh, that was really good?
I remember liking the first one. I remember liking the trans boy, EliteAri, so she doesn't count as a girl, even though I just said she, EliteAri. Can you believe it?
Yep.
Outside of that, I liked the idol worshipping girls, the 2 of them.
Yeah.
And
very true.
I guess I can't recall the rest of them. So.
Cool. There was the one girl who was like, she was upset because the guy molested her, but she's like, I'm not even attractive. I didn't understand why he did it.
True. She wanted like somebody to tell her she was pretty, EliteAri. It was crazy.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Yeah, I remember that one. And then the final thing was the thumbs up that Neiru sends to prove that they're friends at the end of episode 2. What a moment. Terrific.
Very cute.
Greatest of all time.
Yep.
Episode 3, EliteAri.
Right.
Do you think the theme will be that you can't get your old friends back because death is final and you have to get over it, but look at all the new friends you've made? True. Texting in shows. We already talked about that. Did you know, EliteAri, that kiwi fruit is actually Chinese or something? It's true, EliteAri. They got kiwi fruit in
Did they
this.
say that?
But no, this is something I've learned.
Okay.
EliteAri, who knows how I learned this? I know, EliteAri, you know, but people don't know. But kiwi fruit is actually from China, and the Kiwis like stole it, and then because they have somewhat of a similar climate, and they market it as kiwi fruit when it's actually like something fruit. And also, there's like 2 completely different types of kiwi fruit that are completely different. There's yellow kiwi, well, golden kiwi fruit, and green kiwi fruit. But they had green kiwi fruit here. Yep. They both taste like shit, and if you like kiwi fruit, kill yourself.
I love kiwi fruit.
But that was funny. Yeah. Then my next note. A tsundere, she doesn't have red hair. Junior idol. True, she didn't have red hair, EliteAri. That was funny.
Yep. Because
remember, you got mad when I called Eris a tsundere, and chief example number 1 of evidence is that she has red hair.
She did have pink hair later. Or flashback, I guess.
True. It's true. Lamau, the teacher, is actually fucking the mum. This was before it was confirmed, EliteAri, okay?
Well done.
No, actually, maybe this was when they talked about the dating thing, but I definitely thought about it before. This is giving me Evangelion character dynamic vibes, the cute way, crazy thing. Oh, EliteAri, I sent you a message, and I said I just wrote a crazy thing in my notes, and I was like, you need to tell me this. That was the thing where I was like, this is like Evangelion level character writing right here,
very
bro.
Funny.
So, that was funny. I was going to try and send you a screenshot and like blur out the positive or negative factors, but I couldn't figure out how to fuck up the sentence to send it to EliteAri and figure out how I was comparing this to Evangelion. What a great show. Yep. This is the best show ever is the next note. My goodness. Choosing friends based on looks. Oh, that was hilarious, EliteAri, where Rika's like, you just chose the pretty one to be your friend, and then she says no. And then she like destroys her with facts and logic, and it was pretty funny.
Yep.
The main girls texting bratty talk about boys, least generic show ever.
Yep.
True. She can't die. I had the feeling somebody was gonna die. True. I was scared Rika was gonna die, EliteAri.
She did get so mad about it or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, she did, and that was at the end of the episode. That's why it's the last note, EliteAri. Oh, I was even scared the 2 idol cheering girls are gonna die. I was like, no.
Yep.
We need to protect everybody, and we need to all survive.
Wait, in that episode, I don't know if you remember this. There was a scene I really liked in that, like visually, where it's like they play the song by the singer or whatever, and that stops the egg boss from like attacking because it's like a real fan.
That was funny. That was great.
It would never attack when she's listening or whatever. There's a really cool thing where they have an insert song. I don't know if it's like the actual song that the idol singing or whatever, but they have that, and they're like kind of celebrating, and Ai's like waving the wand back and forth as they're walking through the forest. And then in the distance, you see the Wonder Egg boss like dancing. And it's like this monstrosity that's like dancing to the music, and it's really cool. I like that like animation, like music. It all comes together to be like, man, this is like so cool. And isn't it cool when you see like a big bad guy like doing like a goofy like kind of they like have happy in this moment, and I like that. So yeah, it
was all very good. We like this show.
Yep.
Then my next note, I think we're on episode 4. Molest, I didn't actually do them. I just put a space between each of the, EliteAri didn't write down episode 4 at the top, so we could be on 5. Who knows? Yep. Molestation opening. We are about the scary stuff. I don't remember what this would have been. Oh, this was the one we were just talking about. Using weapons from the girls of every week, every time. I hope she uses them all at some point in some final battle. Haha, dumbass. That would have been cool, though. We remember all the great girls, but no, we forgot about them all. We never bring them up ever again.
True.
And then my next one, EliteAri, very important dot point. She's not dead! 2 exclamation marks.
Yep. She shows back, and it's like really cool animation, and she says like her catchphrase of I have like I've written down. They have like catchphrases. I'll knock you off your feet with a shot to the heart. I'm like, oh hell yeah.
Is that hers?
Yeah, Rika. That's like she says it a bunch. It's weird because like I think it's cool because it's like a random catchphrase that they come up with that doesn't really mean anything. Because Eyes is like, now I'm really angry. And I'm like, I don't really know how this ties into anything, but I like it.
Oh.
And then Neiru.
The only one I know is the blow your mind one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm going to blow your mind. That's one she says. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And Rika's is, I'll knock you off your feet with a shot to the heart. And I'm like, this is cool.
But Momo doesn't have any. Besides, I don't love you.
Yeah.
I don't think we needed reiteration that she wasn't a boy. Oh yeah, this is just me calling out the show. I knew it was a boy, Leary. Calm down.
Very smart.
And by boy, I mean girl.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they're all different character archetypes, but I like them all equally. Already talked about that. Boys and girl suicides mean different things, Lamau. True, we already talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Crying, bonding with 4 girls. Swak.
Huh?
What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know.
Sawaki, EliteAri. That's the last name where we reveal that she's the niece.
Mr. Sawaki. Yeah.
I thought it was Swak with an exclamation mark, but it was an I because it was all in capitals, EliteAri.
Well done.
Swak. You have the realization with her. Great moment. True, they didn't spell it out. I was like, Sawaki, I know that name. Who's? Oh, it's the teacher, EliteAri. What a twist. It was great, and this is when they all show up at the house.
Yep.
Them hanging out is so much fun. I'm starting to dread the fight scenes, even though they're creative and not bad. Just because we would have to cut away from the great characters, EliteAri.
Mm-hmm.
They are allowed to bowl after threatening to kill themselves. That was epic, EliteAri. Do you remember that?
Wait, say it again. Say what you just said. Threatening.
They are allowed to bowl after they threaten to kill themselves. They're allowed to play bowling.
Yep. It was great. And that was the great Ura-Acca's doing, I'm sure. He just wants them to have fun. We love it.
It was.
Mm-hmm.
She put the moves on you. Whoa, is a quote. I remember thinking this was great.
Mm-hmm.
This must have been Momo retelling her like a backstory or something, and Rika probably said she put the moves on you. Whoa, or something.
Sounds about right.
Oh
no.
Maybe she said that about I talking to Momo and making her their friend, but that probably would have been the last episode. I don't know. It was cute. It was great. It was genius. It was such a cute line. In the Japanese EliteAri, Eureka is very funny sounding, What a great girl.
Yep.
Oh my god, thematic questioning of responsibility to the deaths of their friends and whether or not they should continue buying eggs. Selfishness drives them. True, he talked about selfishness. The guys don't seem to be forcing them to continue. Tell them they don't have to keep going, or maybe not! Exclamation mark, because then they did try and make them keep going or something.
Yeah. The idea was if we told them not to, so they did. I'm like, true.
But I don't know. There was a part where they were like, maybe we shouldn't keep doing this or something, and I was like, oh, that's it. Yeah, I didn't expect them to talk about that.
Yep.
Next episode of EliteAri, they straight hating, bro. Oh, that's because they became haters instead of see no evils. EliteAri, that was a funny joke.
Yep.
Lots of flash forward starts. EliteAri, out of order. You already talked about that.
Messing with time.
I say AI is mad, but I meant I is mad, EliteAri. She was mad at the beginning of this episode. She was punching and kicking stuff, and they were all looking at her and said, "What's this about?"
She damaged the sign. Great. My goodness, yeah.
She did. She threw it to a window, I think, or something.
And then she's like, "Oh shit!" She freaked out a bit. I'm like, "Yeah, very funny."
Sure. And then she's just sitting there while they're all talking, and her head's just back, and she's looking at the sky. That was great on the seat. Yep. The greatest show of all time, EliteAri.
Yep.
Standing out and paying for it. Somebody must have said something about that. That's a thing in every anime, EliteAri. It's the shitty part in every anime where they decide that the big group of cool guys that they formed at the end, they're just all rejects, bro, and that's why they're together. Fucking even Attack on Titan did that shit, mate. Pissed me off, EliteAri. Power ups! Exclamation mark. Magical girls? Question mark, question mark. True, EliteAri, are they magical girls?
They did make a joke about that, right?
And animals.
They were saying,
I can't remember if it was explicit.
No, Ura-Acca were like, I guess they're not gonna design outfits around their pendant or whatever. And it's like, oh, that's funny. Girl talk.
I thought it was just I thought he was just making fun of them because it didn't fit, but that would be funny if it was they don't have magical girl outfits. You're a genius, EliteAri. Great ideas at great pace. True, every idea was great. Every monster design was great. Every idea for a new girl was great. And now we've got Pokemon. Oh, it was the greatest of all time. And then they killed the great Pokemon.
The Pokemon were kind of cute and stuff. It's great.
They were. Pokemon were always cute, and these ones were too. They have a little mini form, and then they can transform into a big form. True. It's a little bit more ferocious. That's more like Digimon, EliteAri, I think, and more like Dinosaur King. What a great anime Dinosaur King is. Biggest Pokemon ripoff I ever saw. Abuse and crushes. Occam's razor. They did say Occam's razor in this, and they did say other weird internet things, and I was like, wow.
Wait, that's not
even the Japanese.
Thing. Jesus.
Yes, it is. Nobody heard about Occam's razor until fucking 2019 in the internet, EliteAri.
All right.
You think why has this never been in an anime until then, EliteAri? You want to explain?
I'm certain it has been. It's probably in a million other anime.
Now, what did I mean at the first part of this where I said abuse and crushes?
I have no idea.
We'll never know. Next episode of EliteAri. Thanks you. That's my note here because they said thank you in the sub and they said it very funny.
Okay, nice.
It was very cute.
Mm.
Oh, you don't think cute moments matter, Leader? You just want to laugh?
No, they matter. You know, I just watched the dub. I didn't get this cute moment. I'm sorry.
I would say that all the time. They would say a lot of English things.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. It was like Oscar in Evangelion when she says "chance" instead of "this is my chance."
Yep.
If you're reading the subtitle of Leadery, it would just say "this is my chance." But you can very clearly just hear her only say one word. That one word is chance.
Yep.
Unbelievable, Leadery. Sugar daddies. This is another like sexual thing they were bringing up every once in a while. Now that's something that was invented in 2019, Leadery.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet made it put it in this anime. That was great. Is being a whore bad? Question mark, question mark. Is this some sort of Japanese sexism, Eliteary? What a great talking point. We haven't brought this up in a while. But this was when they were making fun of the great Rika's mother for being a whore. She had 5 guys' photos and stuff. And I was trying to suss out, is the show passing moral judgment here?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to put this in the bad category? I don't know. It was kind of indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
I have a line, Eliteary. I don't remember the context for this one at all, so you're gonna have to place this for me.
All right.
I've got some complaints too. Oh, that was I saying she hates her mother, where Rika was being like, my mother's a dumb bitch, and then I's like, I got some complaints too.
There was
started going off, Eliteary. It was
because
genius.
Rika in that
great.
moment was like, you don't force it or whatever. And I was like, I'm not forcing it. I actually have complaints about my mom. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yes, I remember now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can't be around bitches. I'm too logical. That's in quotation marks.
I mean,
but
that's
that
what
wasn't
Neiru
a quote,
said.
Eliteary.
That is
what she said. It was great. You think I can say that to women?
Maybe if you are a woman.
When I'm in an argument with them?
No, probably not.
Oh. You think a woman wrote that line?
Probably not. I would assume.
Yeah.
Men
who ask women for money are all fakes. That was pretty funny, Eliteary.
Yep.
That's not very progressive. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That was that episode. Now the next episode says recap. And then speculation about the truthfulness of these narrators. True, at the very end of that episode, because I did watch the very end, it is like a very much like Ura-Acca and Raka or whatever. Like, can we be trusted? Are we the bad guys? And I was like, oh no, Leary, please no. Let's have them be nice. Let's not have a dramatic moment.
I have to say, just meta-wise, I actually did watch both recaps. I watched the episode 8 one, and I watched the final episode one as well. And I enjoyed both, because I was like, there's a lot going on in this show, and I actually needed the recap to remind me of all the important details.
I did not. I was like, I watched like 8 minutes of the first one. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna have the wherewithal, the balls to skip this Eliteary, and then I did.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I did.
Congratulations.
And then I went through the same thing because at the end I was like, well, it has been a while, and they are recapping, and then I was like 4 minutes, and I was like, fuck you, recap, kill yourself. It's no Serial Experiments Lane recap episode where that's the greatest thing of all time. But yeah, true, very true. Then we got the next one, Eliteary. We've only got a few left. Oh my god, I'm on the last page.
Well done.
It's another quote, Eliteary. It says, that puts my worries into perspective. This is a funny line I think Rika said when one of the other characters had a real issue. She was being funny. This is the greatest show of all time I have written down after that quote. Mad Men appeal of not knowing what characters will say next. So don't worry, Eliteary. We already talked about that. This scene literally had a so who are you line. And she blew it off with saying it was a very existential question. So this is great. Because this is the episode, this is the Neiru episode or whatever. Okay. And there was basically an episode where one of the girls goes, so who even are you? Like, because we're going through her building and she's very impressive and they're trying to figure it out. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is like a generic line where she says, actually, I'm the owner of this great corporation. It's called Japan something something. And this is where we do. And instead she was like, what an existential question. How am I supposed to figure? And I was like, oh, genius this show. But also, it's because she's an AI Eliteary, so she thinks about existential things.
I don't think she knew she was an AI, right? I think she thought she was artificially inseminated, right? I think.
That would make a lot of sense, I guess. That she didn't know. I don't know. This reveal that Koito was actually a bad guy and this girl was actually an AI at the end of this 13th episode. You know, I still haven't processed that Eliteary. Still thinking about it.
True. Still open to interpretation.
I know, Eliteary.
Good.
Scientists who can't believe in God are incompetent, Eliteary. What do you think about that one?
I remember thinking that's it's a weird thing. I don't know why that was.
It was kind of like a unique one, but yeah. So I was like, oh, this show says some unique stuff sometimes. Neiru can't reach abstract places, always on a bridge because she's logical and stuff.
Yeah, that was.
No, it's because of her trauma.
It was interesting. Those two had an interesting interaction. That girl, the colorful girl, whatever. Remember her name? I'm not gonna say it.
Chubuki?
True. It was like Kotobuki or something like that. She was interesting. She's like the one who's like clearly knows the most. It feels like if anyone
when she showed up in episode 13, I was like, oh, cool.
She like firstly she looks really cool visually, like she stands out from everyone else.
She's
got like,
got
weird hair,
different
and
eye
eyes
colors.
Yeah. It feels like if there was a season 2 or whatever, if anyone would beat Frill, it feels like it would be Kotobuki. Like it feels like she's in control of things, and she'd be a worthy adversary to Frill or something like that. But yeah,
it would be I, obviously.
Eventually, it would be I. That is true. All right,
but true, she was cool. Then they started talking about parallel worlds things, and I was like, oh,
Yep,
this isn't good. Hold on, EliteAri, I'm watching headphones.
Nice.
Neiru can't. Oh, I already read that one. Lots of adults being lame talk. True, because this show's really about growing up. EliteAri seems to have been a common teenage wondering, but I always thought I was an adult. Oh, this is me musing about myself, EliteAri, where they're like adults are losers, and I don't, because this is in like every teenage show where it's like adults suck too, guys, and it's like this big moment where you realize adults suck. I thought adults were always dumber than me, EliteAri, so I never had this moment. What do you think?
That's pretty wild. I don't know. I honestly don't have strong thoughts or strong memories of like, oh, the adults.
You never had a moment where you realized adults were gross? It's like a big Ava thing too, where Oscar's like, these guys just have sex because they're lame or something. It always does seem to be like weirdly sex related, where it's like a kid trying to process things and they can't figure it out. I don't know. You know, I was always I'm still the smartest guy of all time, EliteAri, so what could I say? One last quote, EliteAri. With the two of us, it's fantasy. Oh, this is when they're pushing the button and you don't have to tell who did it because you're doing a thing. Yep. That was cute. Oh, and then the next episode, EliteAri, I have a big, great exclamation point at the end of this one. It says, plot sidelined by girl talk. Because there was something happened in the plot last time, but she went on a date. And I was very excited for this. This is what the show should have been.
Yep.
I wish I could be with someone I like, laying in bed. Oh, this is a cute little descriptive, the real thing, where she's like in bed, imagining, you know, I just want a boyfriend. And I was like, man.
True, because she was watching a movie or something, right?
No, one of them is watching, I think. There's maybe because there's a bunch of shots of them in bed at the same time. One of them was watching a movie. I don't remember if it was Momo though.
Oh no, I'm thinking I'm thinking of the opening scene to Momo's episode. I think where she was like she was asleep and there was like a phone playing next to her.
Yeah,
and she was having the memory of the credits of that. She's having a memory dream of like going out with this guy and stuff. Yeah, that was before.
This was differently, right?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you're just lying in bed thinking about life, and you're like, man. Just like that.
True.
Then my next few ones are very interesting, EliteAri. It says lesbian ? Trans ? Gay panic ? She's wearing the trans colors. Because there's a lot of gayness going on, EliteAri, and we're panicking. And also her crocodile was called Panic. It was funny.
Oh, it was. Interesting.
And then
you know what was cool? This reminded me. It was cool when they all first opened their necklace, and they were all in like different places when they did it.
Yes, and we saw the different places, and it was very like characterizing where they were.
I was in her like bed, like hidden away in that like little thing. You had Rika was at some like park, like she was like a slide or something like that, I think.
She like runs away from home all the time.
Yep. Wait, let me find it. Momo was on the roof after a girl gave her a letter, like a love letter. She was just on the roof of the school or something.
Oh yeah, of the school because she was sad. Yep.
And then Neiru was at the office when everyone's already headed home. So she was just like by herself afterwards. It was very cute seeing all them open their things.
It was great, and I like how they say Vemi or something. That was cute.
Veni.
And then we're on the next episode already, Elite. Oh no, I say not the croc in a big exclamation point. We didn't like that. And on the next one. And then I said the next note for the next episode is they killing animals out here. And I was mad because another animal died. And then this is the dumb flashback episode that we hate, EliteAri. And I said 4x3 security cameras. That was pretty cool, huh, EliteAri?
Yes, I did like the way. Well, wait, are you talking about when they were talking about the daughter? I remember they cropped in and like had a different aspect ratio for like the flashback with the daughter. So I kind of.
Well, there was also when They show shots of like them working before they have their own company, and it's like through
Right.
security cameras.
Yeah,
And that was in
okay.
4x3.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't remember what you're talking about, but I'll choose
That's
to
okay.
believe you.
Mhm.
Being uncomfortable is the essence of femininity, is a quote I have written down here, EliteAri.
Genius.
Pretty deep. And then I just have in capital letters lip noise. True, that was a good moment.
Yep.
Then we're on to the last episode of EliteAri. Can you believe it? There's second last. You know what I mean. The first note here is art is an explosion, EliteAri. That's a thing a Naruto character says. So either this was a great Naruto reference, which it probably wasn't, or this is like a Japanese thing that Naruto was referencing, and I'm just learning because I feel like I've also seen it in something else. But true, Deidara in Naruto, EliteAri, when he explodes something because he makes them out of clay and he makes cute little clay things, he screams, "Art is an explosion."
Of course, naturally.
It's really cool. There's a big moment right before something big happens, but we're not going to spoil that in case you remember it later because it's really cool.
Yep.
But where he desperately says, EliteAri, he desperately screams his great art as an explosion catchphrase, and you'll feel the emotion.
All right.
Fake eye took an eye for real eye. The lizard didn't die for some reason!
True.
Exclamation mark.
That was pretty great.
This is all a little weird. I don't remember. I don't know why it worked that this girl and her eyes, because that one evil girl wanted a shiny thing or something. I don't know.
That's exactly what happened.
I don't know about any of this. This all seemed weird and not very interesting. What happened? Oh, this was after it ended, and I still had questions, EliteAri, because I was starting to be like, what was that? What happened to Neiru's sister? I was trying to figure out if that was all like a lie and it was actually Kabuki the whole time. But no, we got some explanation of that next time. Definitely a very weird ending. I at no point thought anything felt off visually. This is me trying to figure out why everybody hated it.
Yep.
I assume the controversy is because it's anticlimactic and there's no resolution battle or meeting with the other girls. Did the other girls actually come back to life? Question mark. True, because like in the show, the last scene we have of like all the girls is like the first one where they all like run off in different directions. So that would have sucked. I guess it is important that we like watched it all together, whereas like there was a few months between 12 and 13.
Yeah. So by the end, they're like...
So that probably definitely affects the viewing experience.
All the people are back. I mean, it depends what you mean by girls. Like all the people that were trying to save them back, but they don't know.
But they're alternative timeline, right? Alternative world versions of them.
Yeah, like the world was shaken or whatever a little bit around them, and yeah, they don't remember them anymore. I think it's ambiguous whether Neiru's sister even remembers her sister. I think, but yeah, it's like, yep, crazy.
Yeah, maybe. But isn't there like a conversation with them about? Well, I guess that's right when like when she gets her back after the countdown because they have those few seconds before they fade away.
Yeah.
But then on the very last episode, I have but 2 notes, EliteAri. It says, we got some more straight recap, exclamation mark. He's mad.
Wouldn't that be, that would suck, wouldn't it? Waiting 3 months for the episode, you open it, and the first half is a recap. Oh boy.
Yeah, you're all excited. It's going to be 46 minutes. This is crazy.
Yep. Oh boy.
Yes. Neiru talking to herself with funny voices in her slippers, question mark. What was up with that, EliteAri? And that's my last note.
I think that was the reveal that she is an AI or something. I don't know what was happening there. I'm telling you, it's ambiguous, like, because it feels like there was meant to be a season 2 or something, or a few more episodes. I don't know. It's interesting. Frill was speaking through her.
Was it?
Well, it was Frill's voice.
I can tell the voices. Well, yeah.
Yep.
Wait, that's really interesting, huh?
Well, at least I think it was Frill. I'm pretty sure it was Frill's voice. Like when
was it for both shoes or just one shoe?
It was, I think one shoe was Frill. I don't know what the other one was. But then at the end, the voice that was coming out of...
Was it Pokey Pokey?
Oh, maybe. I guess that's possible. I don't even know, actually. But the voice at the end, when Neiru is speaking, Frill's voice comes out of her mouth, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know what that means, but...
At the end?
I'm pretty sure. Like in the first scene of the episode 13, when Neiru's like tapping her shoes and voices are coming out. At the end of that scene, Neiru says something, but it's not Neiru's voice. I'm pretty sure it's like Frill's voice is like saying something with her mouth. I think.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Yep, open-ended.
That's probably pretty important.
Yep.
Well, that's all my notes, EliteAri, so you can do your miscellaneous
all right,
notes
excellent.
now if you so wish.
Number 1, very
Joe Mama.
very affecting emotionally. When in the first scene we get where I seeing Koito's corpse, where it's like everyone is kind of looking at the corpse and she's like not realizing what's happened yet. She looks over and she sees like her dead friend like on the ground. Very affecting. The music's great, like the directing's great. I really like that first reveal. There's a cool.
I don't really remember this.
It's really good. Okay, just accept that. But there's a really cool scene where this is like a subtle interaction kind of thing where I is meeting Koito for the first time. Like, they're sitting I think Ai's sitting on the stairs, like playing a game on her phone, and then Koito shows up next to her, and Ai's like, "Oh, I'm bullied because I'm ugly." And then Koito like looks at her, and she's like, "Oh, you're like not even a little bit ugly." And she's like disappointed because she was kind of hoping that she like would be ugly, but she's like not even like a little bit ugly. I was like, "Oh, that's like kind of funny."
And she was playing a phone game, and she said something stark about that, or
true. The weapons they use are like somewhat significant, but also like I have no idea what they are. Rika's is obviously the most obvious because he's using knives that obviously she cuts herself with. I have no idea for the rest though. Like Ai's is a pen, which I feel like has some meaning, but I don't know what that meaning is. Momoe's is like an umbrella or like a spear or something, and then Neiru's is a sniper. So I don't know. Is it just a coincidence that Rika's are like knives and she like cuts herself? I don't know.
No, you just have to figure it out, EliteAri.
True. There's an interesting abstract visual parallel, which is more to do with Ai's, like maybe it just says something about Ai, which is in episode 6, when she's reflecting on Mr. Sawaki and like having loving him or something. She sees like a visual in her mind of him like standing in the water in the distance, like looking away. And it's like this weird abstract plane that he's in. And then later on in episode 13, she sees the same visual of Neiru, like in an abstract plane far away. But it's like raining that time. It's like slightly different, but it's like very similar, like visual language. And it's all in Ai's mind, of course. So I was like, oh, does she like have a crush on Neiru or something as well? Or is it just I don't know exactly what's going on, but it was an interesting parallel there. This is cool. Okay, this is like my favorite. I loved it both times. I got so invested and excited. I'm like, man, this is so cool. It's in the final episode before the special one, like episode 12, where Ai is like breaking through the sky with her pen, and then she's like running in the air. And I was like, man, this is so cool.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like colors everywhere, and she's like literally just like running on nothing. And I'm like, this is so cool. This is another thing the show I think does really well, more so than any other anime I've ever seen, which is that the character designs look like actual teenagers. Like I completely buy that they're 14 years old. Whereas in other shows, it's kind of like, oh, they kind of look like adults, but sometimes they look way too much like kids. And it's like, in this, they like look very much their age. And I like that a lot. It could even just be like their clothing that they wear.
Didn't we say this about something very recently too, though?
Maybe? I don't remember. It's possible. But this show does a good job of it. Yeah.
Could that have been? I don't remember.
Yeah. My only final note is a question of like, which is a pretty weird question, it's not really a good answer to this. What was your favorite like episode or like storyline, or like is there anything like that where you're like, oh, I like that a lot?
I don't remember. Just
right.
little characters, the little character introductions. I guess in Lane the girls look 14. That might have been what I was thinking.
A little bit, yeah. Okay. I think my favorite one, like I like the backstory one with Frill. That was really cool. But there's like a few I like early on. Like I like the Rika one with her mother and the turtle thing. Like that was really cool. There's one with there's the one with the Mr. Sawaki feelings thing where I like runs to school at the end. Like that was really good. There's like a few in this where I'm like, man, those are like they stand out. But yeah. We
need a compilation YouTube video of them hanging out, and then we can get rid of the rest of the show.
Oh, I'm sure they exist out there. So yeah, that's. Anything else you want to say about Wonder Egg Priority?
What a television program! I guess I'm very interested what I'll think in like 2 weeks. The highs are really like so high. And the highs are literally just them hanging out. That like, should I be disappointed that the whole show's not a 10? I don't know. I was thinking, and this was sort of another Madoka parallel, well, like consideration where I was comparing the two. Where I was like, because I was 7 episodes in, I was like, how has this changed to the top 5, EliteAri? Where does it go? And then I remember like, why would Evangelion be better than this? And I was like, well, this show doesn't really have dramatic beats that hit. And I would say Evangelion has the character interactions, but it also has very dramatic, poignant moments that like resonate and like a bombast and a release there. And that's probably what the show is missing and why it wouldn't be like my favorite ever if it continues this way. I feel like there were also other shows I was comparing it to in that manner.
Yep.
But I guess I can't really think of them now off the top of my head.
The Great Mushoku Tensei, of course.
No, not that silly show. This show's a million times better than that one.
Mm.
But I really, the ending does, the last few episodes do take, like, I don't think I can give it a 10. Like, I don't think it's going to be a 10 in my memory, which is sad. And then, like, I had to give the last one an 8 because the fucking recap is boring.
You can just skip it.
And it also has some, like, it still has some of the, like, stuff that I didn't like about the last few episodes too. I will say, because I feel like I came up with this idea about how, it's sort of like falling a little bit, and that it didn't have like sort of a big dramatic beat while I was watching the flashback episode. And then the lip thingy happened, and I was like, well, that was a moment like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I guess it's like the eye stuff. Like whenever she would have a realization, like it would kind of be cool where I'm like, oh, it's an eye moment. She's doing the thing. That's cute. But like the like thematic emotional resonance of it in the more dramatic moment, I didn't really care about that. Like when she ran back to school, or when she said she's got to believe in herself in the last episode or whatever. And I guess that's where the show kind of falls short.
I mean, I said this before, but I agree with that in that it feels like it's very close to me to be almost getting there, but it just doesn't quite get there. It's like missing some element, or it's too confusing or something.
To me, it's completely different. Of like, it absolutely was there for 90% of it, and then there's like just a direction shift that just like spoils it in a sense, because it's not like execution in general moments. Well, I guess I just said it was, so I don't know. It's interesting. I wonder. The point is, I wonder if like I'm always going to reflect on Wonder Egg Priority, basically how everybody else does, and be like, man, it was nearly the best thing ever. But and it's like kind of disappointing. And well, that's kind of boring. That's kind of just what everybody thinks. I feel like if we look into this, if we watch some videos, I feel like it'll probably be very different. I feel like nobody has ever had the balls to say something was good because it had good character interactions. It's always going to be because it's the deepest, most crazy thing, and they're going to be talking about the themes in the show, and I'll be like, whatever. I don't care.
You know what's the most annoying thing in the world? It's when you look up it's when you look up something like, oh, is Wonder Egg Priority worth watching, or something. You look up like a Reddit thread for it.
I would never ever look something like that up. That's an EliteAri Reddit maneuver.
And all the comments are making jokes about how like, the first 3 episodes are, or like, oh, until this happened. And they're all like making the same joke about how like the production fell off, and it's like so annoying. Like, just I don't know. It is what it is.
You just don't like it when there's in jokes that you ain't in on.
Yeah, that I don't agree with. That is true. Yep, Wonder Egg Priority. An interesting series.
All right. Was that the outro? Did you just do the outro?
Absolutely not. So with that, thanks for listening.
What are we going to do next, EliteAri? What great speculation.
That is true. There could be anything. I didn't suddenly expect to be doing this.
Naruto. That was to the cadence of the Yu-Gi-Oh opening too. No, Naruto. We're starting it next week, EliteAri. Get ready. Land of Waves.
Leave a comment down below. What should we watch next?
Urge EliteAri to get on the Naruto bandwagon, everybody. We need to apply the pressure. We need to say, get rid of One Piece. Fuck One Piece. One Piece is lame.
And with that, see you later. Thanks for listening. See you later next time. Bye.